Chapter 691, The Ultimate Trick of the Exploding Heavens Faction. Hearing what Zhu Ke had just said, all the people present were shocked and took a deep breath. Every word he had said was a taboo for the cultivators of the Heaven Horn Ox tribe. What is wrong with him? He clearly knows the figure he is facing is the head of the Heaven Horn Ox tribe and is also in the 6 levels of the form synthesis stage. Even so, he still dares to talk like this. You impetuous bastard. Kneel down now. A loud noise came from a mountain that was not far away. All of a sudden, the entire sky was covered by an enormous shadow. A huge shadow of an ox head gradually became clearer and clearer. It looked like an ancient divine ox and was approaching. Bang! Many of the cultivators were hit by the power, and they all knelt down onto the ground. They felt like someone had punched their chests, and their faces became rather pale. They were all stunned by how powerful it was. The patriarch of the form synthesis stage managed to make these cultivators kneel down without even moving his finger. However, Zhu Ke was still fine. It seemed that he had not been hit at all. He was surrounded by a ball of qi, which was rather calm and tranquil. The qi did not seem very special, but it was strong enough. Everything it touched instantly calmed down. With the help of the qi, Zhu Ke miraculously withstood the power of the patriarch of the Heaven Horn Ox tribe. Liu Jingning was standing next to Zhu Ke, and was also intact. Is this his Taoist connotation? The patriarch, at the top of the mountain, opened his eyes wide. Hearing his voice, all the cultivators present were shocked. What is going on? As far as I know, Zhu Ke has not got any Taoist connotation. Can it be possible that he really manages to work out his own Taoist connotation? Is that why he steps into the void training stage? If he really has his own Taoist connotation, why can't I feel its intensity? Instead, it seems very weak. After all, no one had ever had the same Taoist connotation as Zhu Ke did. As for the definition of his Taoist connotation, it is that one is to speak for himself. This meant that he would always be true to himself and seek the calmness of his own mind. Therefore, his Taoist connotation was a weak one, though, in fact, it was extremely powerful. There was a saying about this, which was to pretend to be a pig to prey on a tiger. Judging by Zhu Ke's Taoist connotation, people might think he was a pig, but in fact he was a dragon that could devour a pig. This can't be possible. The patriarch frowned and shook his head. There can't be a Taoist connotation such as this in the world. No one could live while always contradicting the world. Tell me, young man, what is the incantation you have used? Incantation? Hearing this, the cultivators figured out what was really going on. In this world, no one except Zhu Ke could withstand the power of the patriarchs of the Heaven Horn Ox tribe. After all, every cultivator knew each other's strength. In particular the strong ones. They had already seen Zhu Ke's strength with their own eyes. Now that Zhu Ke was already in the void training stage, it made sense that he could withstand the power of a cultivator of the form synthesis stage. Zhu Ke could feel the patriarch's jealousy. Obviously, the patriarch knew Zhu Ke's Taoist connotation was a powerful one, but he believed that it was against the world's rule. So he would rather make himself believe that Zhu Ke was practicing some sort of incantation. Zhu Ke smiled. Well, since you already asked, I would be very willing to tell you. It is the ultimate trick of the Exploding Heavens faction, which is called the Act of Qi. What? The Act of Qi? Everyone was stunned, including the patriarch. Liu Jingning was shocked. Although she knew clearly this was exactly Zhu Ke's Taoist connotation, she still could not believe such a Taoist connotation that went against the world could really exist. Besides, she never thought Zhu Ke's Taoist connotation was already strong enough to withstand the power of a cultivator of the form synthesis stage. If he really has grown strong enough, then I don't think there is any need for me to worry about him anymore. As long as he still has the strength to fight back, he would have time to run away by using the divine tracking emblem. Thinking of this, Liu Jingning finally was relieved. At the same time, the patriarch who was sitting at the top of the mountain had already run out of patience. He had been called a calf by Zhu Ke many times and now he was furious. You bastard, this world is much, much bigger than you thought. Even if you are very powerful, You are still nothing when you are standing in front of me. I will show you how powerful I am." The patriarch's voice was so loud that it echoed in the air off the mountains. He quickly stood up with the two horns on his head shining brightly. Bang! The patriarch waved his hand, and the next minute the sky collapsed. His two horns were shining white and absorbing the spiritual chi from all around. Then he directed all the spiritual chi to the shadow of the ox in the air. All of a sudden, the shadow got more and more clear, as if a real ancient ox beast were coming down to this world. This all happened in just a few seconds. Seeing this, everyone present was shocked and terrified. "My goodness, I have seen this before. It is only ever practiced by a holy son of the Heaven Horn Ox tribe. Its power is beyond my imagination." Usually, it would take quite a long time to practice this incantation, while for this patriarch, it just takes a few seconds. This incantation destroys a cultivator's Taoist connotation and his holy soul. Zhu Ke is doomed this time. Kill. The patriarch shouted aloud. Suddenly, the shadow of the ox roared, and its body began to change quickly into a long black spear. Then it began to fly toward Zhu Ke. His Taoist connotation has taken an actual form. Zhu Ke, it's very dangerous. Liu Jingning was so surprised that she hurriedly reached out her hand to push Zhu Ke away. "I have underestimated the patriarch. I thought he would not use such a powerful incantation. If Zhu Ke is hit by it, he will definitely die. I have to admit that this is quite impressive." Zhu Ke laughed. "Your Taoist connotation has taken an actual form, so, you think you are quite something, right? Once I practice my King of Tough Acting Fist, you will see who is the boss here." "System, I want to buy the King of Tough Acting Fist, 3 of them." The King of Tough Acting Fist was worth about 2,000 acting tough points, because Zhu Ke had won 8,000 acting tough points simply because he quarreled with the patriarchs. He did not think there was any need for him to be frugal. 3 incantations of the King of Tough Acting Fist would cost me about 6,000 acting tough points in total. I will have another 2,000 acting tough points left. Then, Zhu Ke secretly activated the Killer Book and the Killer Sword. Although the King of Tough Acting Fist was already quite enough to fight against the patriarch, he thought it might be necessary to enhance the power of the King of Tough Acting Fist by 30 times with the help of the Killer Book and the Killer Sword. Zhu Ke stared at the top of the mountain and sneered. "You calf, I will punch right at your head." Then he quickly flew toward the top of the mountain, just like a flying arrow. What? He dares to initiate an attack on the patriarch? He thinks he can beat the patriarch with his fists? Is he insane? Many of the cultivators were surprised by Zhu Ke. Even the patriarch himself was amazed by Zhu Ke's impulsiveness. "You are such an ignorant young man. How dare you attack me?" The patriarch sneered, his face full of hatred. Then he flipped his fingers. All of a sudden, the long black stick moved faster toward Zhu Ke, looking as if it was about to penetrate him. In the blink of an eye, the shadow of an enormous fist appeared and landed right on the spear. Bang! The spear broke up into pieces. The shadow of a fist did not stop but, instead, moved even faster toward the patriarch. Bang! The patriarch's head was crushed. Bang! The fist smashed right into the patriarch's chest. Then, suddenly, a headless corpse fell to the foot of the mountain where it slowly changed into a headless ox. The fight was over. The result shocked everyone who was present. A strong cultivator who was of the 6th level of the form synthesis stage and who had slept for a few centuries had just been punched to death. How can this be possible? All the cultivators lost their minds and found their brains could no longer function. Liu Jingning was so stunned that she opened her small mouth very largely, as if she had seen a ghost. "What is the incantation you have just used?" someone asked in surprise, while covering his mouth. Zhu Ke turned around and smiled. "This is the ultimate trick of the Exploding Heavens faction, which is called the 3 punches of a farmer are sweet." Chapter 692. The chaotic period is coming. The 3 punches of a farmer, and the punches are sweet. The onlookers were confused and dumbfounded by Zhu Ke's reply. This is horrible. Luckily, the patriarch of the Heavenly Horn Ox tribe died immediately without any pain or shock, otherwise he would also have been totally pissed off. You could try your powerful punch first before describing it as sweet. He killed the patriarch of the heavenly horn ox tribe with 3 punches. Does this mean the way of the world is going to change? An old man at the Void training stage said in a trembling voice. This is extraordinary. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, they would have laughed loudly in disbelief when they heard about it. Anyway, this was something impossible. How could a cultivator at the Void training stage kill a cultivator at the form synthesis stage instantly? This kind of thing would never occur unless the way of the world was really about to change. However, it did just occur. The onlookers didn't want to believe their eyes. But a fact was a fact. The youngest patriarch of the heavenly horn ox tribe had just woken up for 1 year. His plan was to kill Zuke, but he never expected he would be killed instantly like this. Suddenly, the entire area dropped into a dead silence. Many people were looking at the young man in the sky with mixed emotions in their hearts. Zhang Suliang, Tang Zuru, and other cultivators of the Sky Incense Valley who chose to stay were also stunned. They had planned to collect Zuke's body. Therefore, they never expected the issue would end in this way. The instant kill of a patriarch with 3 punches made them wonder whether they were dreaming. All of them knew Zuke came from the 5 Elements Mountain like they did, which was a remote place with scarce spiritual chi. The rules of the heaven and earth, the magic arts, as well as the treasury items, were far less than those in the 4 continents. After leaving the 5 Elements Mountain, they thought they had seen a broader world. Also, they thought Zuke, who was invincible in the 5 Elements Mountain, would be a nobody in the 4 continents. In these areas, the patriarchs were the overlords. The real geniuses should be the holy sons and holy virgins of those families and sects. But now, a patriarch at the form synthesis stage who was invincible had just been defeated by Zuke with 3 punches. It seems we have always been frogs in a well. Tangzuru shook her head with a wry smile and mixed feelings in her heart. All of them came from the 5 Elements Mountain, but the gap between them was so significant. A lot of holy sons and holy virgins from the East Continent who used to confront Zuke were also here, including Zhao Munan of the Heavenly Demon Sect, Kenji of the Illusionary Flower and Moon Sect, Han Ying of the Heaven Secret Pavilion, Zhao Taixuan of the 8 Directions Green Dragon Sect, and Bai Lingrui of the Bai family. 3 years ago, they met Zuke outside the Celestial Burial Valley for the first time. At that time, Zuke was nothing to them. Then, reluctantly, when they were badly wounded by Zuke, they started to take him seriously. After that, they found out that Zuke had no Taoist connotation, so most of them chose to ignore Zuke. After all, a cultivator who had no Taoist connotation could only reach the infant transformation stage in his life at most. However, 2 years later, Zuke managed to come out of the Mystery Land in such an overbearing way. He killed a patriarch at the form synthesis stage with 3 punches easily. This extremely powerful attack by Zuke froze their blood and scared them immensely. They couldn't help but ask themselves what kind of devil Zuke was. Feeling cold as ice, even Bai Lingrui had to lower her arrogant head and try to hide in the crowds. Her arrogance and confidence were gone. She worried Zuke would seek revenge after seeing her. In this way, Zuke had created the supreme deterrence. All families and sects had to keep silent like a cicada in cold weather. In this silence, Liu Jingning let out a sigh of relief. An extremely attractive smile appeared on her beautiful face. She moved her lips to send a message, "Little Quack, you're awesome." Her attractive and coquettish voice made Zuke get goosebumps immediately. He turned around and gave her a stern look to stop her from teasing him again, or he would have to discipline her publicly. Liu Jingning sniggered and stopped teasing him. After that, Zuke turned to the onlookers and asked with a smile, "Are there any cultivators from the Heavenly Horn Ox tribe here? I want to do business with you." The entire area fell silent again. All onlookers kept mute and could only look around. After a while, into the silence, a cultivator at the infant transformation stage replied, "Mr. Zhu, people of the Heavenly Horn Ox tribe left 1 year ago. Only the patriarch chose to stay here." "Oh, all of them have left? What a pity. If you have time, Please deliver a message to the Heavenly Horn Ox tribe for me. Just tell them I want to purchase high-quality beef from them, which will then be exported to the East Continent, where I will open several Kaoshan beef hot pot restaurants," Zhu Ke said with a smile. All the onlookers instantly twitched their lips and looked puzzled. Purchase beef, open beef hot pot restaurants? Is he really going to treat people of the Heavenly Horn Ox tribe as food ingredients? The Heavenly Horn Ox tribe is doomed, the onlookers said in their hearts. The Heavenly Horn Ox tribe had several patriarchs, but none of them could kill another patriarch that easily. Now they had become the enemy of Zhu Ke. They would end up more miserably than those offending Duanjud. Little sister, let's go. It's time to go back to the East Continent. Zhu Ke decided to leave after establishing his prestige here. Although he spent 6,000 acting tough points to kill the patriarch, he didn't suffer any loss this time. All onlookers were shocked, which brought him over 10,000 acting tough points. Ha ha ha. I got over 13,000 acting tough points and 10 million experience points this time. More important, I got the big mystery bag again by killing the patriarch the first time. Hey, this is totally profitable. Zhu Ke smiled to himself as he looked at the system interface. However, he was not satisfied that he only earned 10 million experience points by killing a patriarch. Now he was at level 1 of the void training stage, and he needed 50 million experience points to reach level 2. It meant he had to kill another 4 patriarchs at the form synthesis stage to get an upgrade. Alas, as expected, I have to accumulate experience points through cultivation in the later stage, which is much faster than killing people. Zhu Ke sighed to himself and was grateful he had chosen to restart his cultivation. Otherwise, he would have big problems now. After all, he would kill all powerhouses at the form synthesis stage sooner or later. After that, he would never earn experience points by killing people. Moreover, he could only use the acting tough points to kill the powerhouses at the form synthesis stage. The King of Tough Acting Fist, which didn't need any true core strength, had to be activated with acting tough points. The more acting tough points he spent, the more powerful the attack would be. However, Zhu Ke still felt heartache for that. After all, the acting tough points were something he needed urgently now. If he had 2 million acting tough points now, he could upgrade the system to version 10.0 and purchase the space-breaking spell, so that he could go back to Earth. It seems I have to save the acting tough points, Zhu Ke said to himself. Although he could kill patriarchs at the form synthesis stage now, it didn't mean he was invincible. The acting tough points he had now were just enough for him to use the King of Tough Acting Fist for over 10 times. If he was attacked by 20 patriarchs at the same time, he would be in great trouble. Therefore, Zhu Ke didn't want to offend those patriarchs so easily. Before he could accumulate more acting tough points, let's go back to the East Continent, Zhu Ke said to Liu Jingning as he stood in the sky. Don't we wait for Buttface? Liu Jingning said in surprise. Zhu Ke shook his head without hesitation. Buttface is not a loyal dog. Now he is with Duanjud. They are so disgusting together. Now, the most urgent thing we should do is to find Dong Zhenji and get his ancient book, so that we can know the history of the ancient Bronze Hall. It is time for us to save Hongyan. Hearing that, Liu Jingning nodded seriously and left, following Zhu Ke without any hesitation. In front of the envious and thoughtful gaze of the onlookers, the two of them jumped up and dashed toward the horizon like a celestial couple. Alas, the way of the world has changed. The world of cultivators is doomed. Seeing them leaving, the onlookers exclaimed. The patriarchs said a golden age is coming. However, before a golden age, there is always a chaotic period. It seems the chaotic period has begun. Now, many patriarchs have left for the unlimited sea outside the North Sea. Why did they do that? It is said they are led by Dong Zhenji. It seems they have found something incredible there. Dong Zhenji is really awesome. He hasn't reached the form synthesis stage yet, but he could work together with those patriarchs. I've heard even the Rock Tribe of the North Sea has participated in their action. The Sea Tribe in the Unlimited Sea has also participated. This is really a big scene. Are they really going to meet some big shots? I'm afraid it is not so simple. Chapter 693, I don't agree. Zhu Ke and Liu Jingning headed to the nearest teleportation device. Zhu Ke wanted to go back to the East Continent to find Dong Zhenji and get the ancient book of records. He needed to find the information about the ancient bronze hall so he could rescue Zhang Hongyan. On their journey, they heard lots of surprising news. First, they heard that Dong Zhenji had sailed to the North Sea, and, after revealing some big news to the other patriarchs of the influential factions, they all followed him to the Infinite Sea outside the North Sea. Someone said it was because an ancient treasure had been found there, someone else said they went to greet an important figure, and a third person said something terrible had happened there and a disaster was about to come. Crap. If I knew this was going to happen, I would not have let him go. Now that he is with other patriarchs, it will not be easy for me to get at him. Zhu Ke was rather upset. Calm down. We don't know what has really happened. There is only one thing that we are sure about, and that is that something must have happened in the Infinite Sea. Since so many patriarchs have gone there, that something must be serious. I think even my faction must have gone there too. I think what we should do is to go back to the East Continent first, where I will ask my peers about what has happened. Liu Jingning said calmly. Hearing this, Zhu Ke nodded. No matter what, I would have to go back to the East Continent. If I cannot get the ancient book of records, I will have to break into the ancient bronze hall. The two stepped into the teleportation device and put a piece of spiritual stone of top quality in it. The huge teleportation device was activated, and, in the blink of an eye, they arrived at their destination. It was already a month later. Zhu Ke and Liu Jingning walked off the teleportation device and found that the news about the whereabouts of all those patriarchs had gone viral. There were many versions of the news, but they were all basically guesses or rumors that sounded rather convincing. No one could really say what was true or false. On arrival, Zhu Ke and Liu Jingning headed directly to the Utopia faction. As the Holy Virgin of the Utopia faction, Liu Jingning could find out why those patriarchs all went to the Infinite Sea. Her peers would definitely tell her everything. After the two used a few more small teleportation devices, they finally arrived at a place in front of which there was a huge mountain. The Utopia faction was inside. This place was a very good one. Its surroundings were very dangerous, and it was surrounded by a noxious atmosphere. Normally, no one dared to step into this place. Close to the forest that was surrounded by the filthy fumes, there were many turbulent rivers. Although it might be easy for a cultivator to cross the river by using a magical weapon, there were many ferocious beasts within. However, for a cultivator of the Utopia faction, it was easy to dodge these beasts. Liu Jingning took out a card, and all of a sudden a path that led to the top of the mountain appeared. Seeing this, Zhu Ke smiled. I think you can do better with your security system. Yes, you have set up many traps, but I can destroy all of them with only one shot. Liu Jingning rolled her eyes and said, I know you are a generous man. Why don't you give us an array of spiritual level? In fact, the array that the Utopia faction set to protect themselves was one of a high level. It could withstand hundreds of attacks of a cultivator of the void training stage, but a cultivator of the form synthesis stage could easily destroy it. Liu Jingning still remembered that when they were in the Celestial Burial Valley, Zhu Ke easily set up an array of high level to protect Zhang Hongyan. She also remembered that he said he had plenty of arrays of spiritual levels. If Zhu Ke gave the Utopia faction an array of spiritual level, the Utopia faction would be safe and sound for at least 1,000 years. Well, of course I can give you one for free, but I never give anything to anyone for free. This is one of my principles. Zhu Ke laughed. In fact, Zhu Ke could buy an array of spiritual levels with only 2,000 acting tough points, but, currently, the acting tough points were something that he wanted most. Thus, he would not want to give one to the Utopia faction for free. After all, Liu Jingning was his good friend, not the entire Utopia faction. You are so mean. Liu Jingning rolled her eyes. She was only joking with him, so she smiled and did not take this seriously. The two quickly headed to the top of the mountain and soon reached the entrance to the Utopia faction. There were a few young male cultivators guarding the gate. As soon as they saw Liu Jingning, They immediately knelt down and said respectfully, "Your Highness." Liu Jingning nodded gently and directly went inside with Zhu Ke. For Zhu Ke, Liu Jingning might show her gentle side, but in front of others she would always be the cold and ruthless Holy Virgin. This was the only way to make others respect her. If a holy son or a holy virgin acted gently, he or she would be seen as weak by others. Zhu Ke did not mind Liu Jingning's sudden change of attitude. He also took up a haughty attitude and entered with Liu Jingning. Seeing Zhu Ke walking next to their holy virgin, the young cultivators got curious about Zhu Ke and began to gossip. "Who is that young man? He is walking right next to our holy virgin. Can it be possible that he comes from an influential faction? Otherwise, he cannot possibly walk next to our holy virgin." "I think so. Don't you see he is walking with his nose facing upwards? But even so, he cannot be so close to our holy virgin." "You might be right. I remember that once the holy son of the Gong family paid a visit to us, and, from the beginning, our holy virgin kept a distance from him. But today the young man is so close to our holy virgin. Can it be possible that they too?" Judging from his face, that young man is at most 20 years old. "No way our holy virgin would want to date such a young man." "Be careful, if the holy virgin hears what you guys say, you will all be killed." "Wait a while. I think the Holy Virgin must have heard that we have arranged an engagement for her. That must be why she brought a young man back." "No way. The cultivators from the Li family have just arrived. How could our Holy Virgin know about this?" "Something is going to happen." Soon, Liu Jingning and Zhu Ke arrived at the main hall. Before they even got inside, they could hear the sound of laughter. "Today is really a good day. My niece Jingning has come back." "Little Jingning, do you still remember your Uncle Li?" "Uncle Li?" Liu Jingning was a bit surprised and confused. "Jingning, come inside to meet us." "Yes." Liu Jingning walked into the hall. Zhu Ke cast his eyes into the main hall and saw a middle-aged man sitting in the middle of the center of the hall. He looked very handsome and elegant with an air of seriousness. Judging by this, Zhu Ke could feel he was in the top level of the void training stage. His level was not that easy to reach, even for holy sons and holy virgins. Besides, the only difference between the void training stage and the form synthesis stage was the difference of the Taoist connotation. In this world, when a cultivator reached to this high level, it was always the Taoist connotation, not the spiritual qi or spiritual medicine, that decided if he could step into the next level. Once a cultivator reached the void training stage, his Taoist connotation had just formed. Before he stepped into the form synthesis stage, he would have to enhance his Taoist connotation to a certain degree. This man was soon to reach to the form synthesis stage. It was not easy for a cultivator to spot this immediately, but Zhu Ke was very different from other cultivators. In just 2 years, he had managed to step into the void training stage, while for others it would take years of cultivation and great comprehension on the Taoist connotation to do so. Besides, Zhu Ke had a great comprehension on his Taoist connotation. Currently, he was just in the first level of the void training stage, while his Taoist connotation was as powerful as that of a cultivator of the first level of the form synthesis stage. Interesting. It seems that the head of the Utopia faction is quite a tough figure. Zhu Ke smiled. Then he looked over the other cultivators in the main hall. Apart from a few old cultivators in long plain purple robes, some cultivators in red robes attracted Zhu Ke's attention. The so-called Uncle Li was one of them, and there were a young man and a young woman standing next to him. The man looked very handsome while the woman was extremely beautiful. As soon as Liu Jingning walked into the hall, everyone stared at her, especially that handsome young man who had looked very bored and tired just a few minutes ago. Suddenly now he looked very energetic. His eyes were full of surprise. "Screw it," Zhu Ke cursed to himself. Clearly, the so-called Uncle Li had came to ask Liu Jingning to marry that young man. "Jingning, I am your late father's friend. My name is Li Tangshan." The old man in the red robe smiled. "I knew it." Zhu Ke sneered to himself. "I see. You are the Uncle Li that my father often talked about when he was still alive." She recalled that her father once told her that the Li family had lent the Utopia faction a magical weapon. Soon after, Her father died in an accident and did not have the chance to return it. Before he died, he told Liu Jingning that as soon as the Li family came, she would have to return it to them. Liu Jingning had been carrying her father's words for years, so she immediately recalled what her father had told her. "Yes, I am." The old man in red nodded, then he gently touched his beard and was about to say something. Suddenly, a noise came from outside. Bang! Zhu Ke stepped heavily into the room and looked coldly at everyone in the main hall. "I am against this engagement." Chapter 694, My name is Zhu Ke. All of a sudden, Zhu Ke's voice echoed in the entire area. Everyone turned to look at him with weird expressions. Especially people of the Li family were fixing their eyes on Zhu Ke. "Behave yourself. Who are you? How dare you trespass in the main hall of our Utopia faction and talk rubbish?" An elder of the Utopia faction darkened his face and scolded Zhu Ke. Zhu Ke widened his eyes. "I don't care. Anyway, I don't agree with this marriage." People fell silent again. The elders of the Utopia faction were confused, and they stared at each other as if they were asking about the history and background of Zhu Ke. However, none of them knew the required information. None of the elders in this area knew Zhu Ke. People who met Zhu Ke outside the Celestial Burial Valley weren't here today. Liu Jingning's lips twitched, and she was almost about to rush over and beat Zhu Ke up. She sent a message to Zhu Ke hurriedly. "Little quack, could you just shut up? They are here to take something back. They are not here to arrange a marriage." "What? They are not going to arrange the marriage? This is so embarrassing." Zhu Ke widened his eyes immediately. Then, he touched his nose and said with an embarrassed smile, "Ahem. I'm sorry, I've missed the point. Please continue your discussion and just ignore me." After that, he turned around and was about to leave the hall to avoid the embarrassment. Wait! Suddenly, Li Tangshan, an old man in a red robe, stopped Zhu Ke and said with a faint smile, "My young friend, actually, what you said is correct. This time the Li family is really going to seek a marriage alliance. I just don't know why you don't agree with that." "What? Holy crap. They are really going to arrange a marriage. I was set up." Zhu Ke stopped walking and turned around slowly. Liu Jingning, who was also surprised, didn't expect those words apparently. Moreover, she was shocked by Zhu Ke's accurate prediction. "Wait, please tell me to whom you will seek a marriage?" Zhu Ke asked. He thought he should ascertain that, in case they didn't seek a marriage to Liu Jingning, it would be really embarrassing if he said he didn't agree again. "Of course, we will seek a marriage to Liu Jingning, who is my niece." Li Tangshan replied with a faint smile. Then, he turned to Liu Jingning and said with a smile, "I once lent a magic artifact to your father. I told him he doesn't need to return it, which should be treated as a betrothal gift. Alas, I didn't expect his premature death. Now the young master of our Li family has grown up. It is time to find a cultivation companion for him. Liu Jingning is apparently the best choice. This is a perfect match between a man and a girl. If you get married, your marriage will definitely become a beautiful story in the world of cultivators." Hearing that, Zhu Ke's lips twitched as he sent a message to Liu Jingning. "Little sister, see? You said they are coming to take something back." "Actually, they are coming to take someone back." Liu Jingning was stunned, for her father didn't mention that to her. When she was about to say something, an idea occurred in her mind. Then, with a cunning light in her eyes, she asked with a spurious smile, "Little quack, even if they are here to seek a marriage, on what basis should you refuse that? On what basis shouldn't I refuse that?" Zhu Ke said, "This goes without saying. You are beautiful, and you always flirt with me. Now you want to deny our relationship after your flirtation. No way." "It's hard to say. According to seniority, you are a junior at most. So, you are not qualified to say no to that. As for other relationships between us, it seems there is no special relationship between us," Liu Jingning said thoughtfully. Hearing that, Zhu Ke was surprised. "You said there is no special relationship between us. Are you sure about that?" For him, the relationship between them was quite mysterious. Back on Earth, this relationship could be described as ambiguous. It should be between friends and lovers. This relationship was perfect, which couldn't be described with words. But Liu Jingning said there was no special relationship between them, which was just like pouring a basin of icy water on Zhu Kei's head. It made Zhu Kei think maybe he had unrequited love. Right? Do you really think there is a special relationship between us? Liu Jingning blinked her eyes and sent a message by moving her lips. She didn't realize the changes in Zhu Kei's mind at this moment. In fact, she also knew the relationship between her and Zhu Kei was mysterious. Therefore, she suddenly had a brainstorm and decided to explore Zhu Kei's real opinion of her by provoking him with the issue today. I think the relationship between us is quite special. Zhu Kei replied, furrowing his eyebrows. I don't think it is special. Liu Jingning blinked her eyes and replied calmly. She thought she could keep provoking Zhu Kei, but she didn't expect Zhu Kei to think he was too sentimental. All the flirtations performed by Liu Jingning before were to find amusement when the occasions arose, because it was so common on Earth. Okay, I know. Zhu Kei shrugged. A strand of bitter helplessness was contained in his voice. Then, he turned around and walked toward the entrance of the hall. What? Liu Jingning was stunned, as Zhu Kei's reaction was different than she had anticipated. Wait, she was about to stop Zhu Kei and explain she was kidding just now. Halt. Just at this moment, a yell interrupted Liu Jingning's words and prevented Zhu Kei from leaving. The one who yelled was an elder of the Utopia faction. He was the one who had asked for Zhu Kei's identity before. Now Zhu Kei was about to leave. He stepped out and acted overbearingly. The Utopia faction is not a place where you can come and go easily. Now clarify your identity and tell us why you make troubles here. The elder said by furrowing his eyebrows. He thought it would be a great humiliation for the Utopia faction to let Zhu Kei leave in this way in front of the Li family. My young friend, it seems you haven't answered my question yet. Why don't you agree with this marriage? Li Tangshan also asked with a smile. However, his smile was not gentle but full of momentum. It seemed he wouldn't allow Zhu Kei to leave if he didn't get a satisfactory answer. Now I agree, okay? Zhu Kei replied impatiently. He was in a bad mood. If it weren't for his respect for Liu Jingning, he would have slapped that elder and Li Tangshan. Now he agreed? Liu Jingning was stunned, for she never expected Zhu Kei would reply in this way. The rest of the people were also astonished. Then they darkened their faces. The point was not whether Zhu Kei agreed with the marriage, but on what basis could he say those words? After all, this was the Utopia faction. Liu Jingning was their holy virgin. It was not up to Zhu Kei, who was an outsider, to agree or disagree with this marriage. At the very beginning, Zhu Kei said he didn't agree with the marriage. Then, he planned to leave suddenly. After being pushed by the elder and Li Tangshan, he said he agreed. He didn't take the Utopia faction seriously at all. HMPH, what an arrogant young man. Who the hell are you? On what basis could you say those words here? Now kneel. The Utopia faction's elder scolded furiously as a magnificent pressure gushed out from his body and swept over toward Zhu Kei directly. You are so clamorous. Zhu Kei frowned as he struck back with his soul's strength like a tsunami. Wait. Liu Jingning changed her expression and shouted. However, she was too late. Bang. After a dull sound, the elder was blown away instantly. His body hit a giant pillar in the hall. The elder turned deathly pale. Zhu Kei didn't use his full strength, otherwise, he could absolutely kill that elder in one move with his Taoist connotation. How could this be? Seeing that, everyone was shocked instantly with disbelief. An elder at the void training stage, who tried to subdue a young man, was wounded by the young man at last. There was only one reason which could explain this result. The young man was at least a holy son. Behave yourself. How dare you wound our elder here? You are seeking death. All at once, the rest of the elders also scolded him, for they couldn't sit idle even if Zhu Kei was really a holy son, because a holy son was also not qualified to be so arrogant in the Utopia faction. All of you, stop. Just at this moment, Liu Jingning stopped those elders. Then, she turned to Zhu Kei and said with a cold smile, Little Quack, what did you say just now? Do you agree with this marriage? Little Quack, what kind of address is this? The rest of the people were confused immediately. Little Quack, K? Gasp, could he be? Someone repeated the address several times. Suddenly, a name came into his mind, which made him gasp immediately as he turned to Zhu Ke in surprise. At the same time, Zhu Ke said with a smile as he looked at Liu Jingning, "Little sister, I've changed my mind again. I hereby declare that I don't agree with this marriage. If you want to know on what basis I disagree with it, I think my name is persuasive enough." After saying that, Zhu Ke glanced at everyone and said slowly, "My name is Zhu Ke. Zhu is Zhu Ke's Zhu, and I don't know how to write K. Anyone who wants to challenge me could taste my 3 punches of a farmer first." Chapter 695, The Clown. As soon as they heard the name Zhu Ke, everyone in the main hall was stunned. In fact, Zhu Ke had already become quite a famous figure in the East Continent, and they were very shocked that Zhu Ke was right there in front of their eyes. How on earth did he come here? I heard that he has destroyed his own cultivation and become an ordinary. Hearing this, a cultivator sneered. "You call him an ordinary? You are too naive indeed. You have been staying inside the Utopia faction for too many years and have no idea what has happened outside. It's only been 2 years. There can't have been such a big change in the outside world. 3 years ago, we in Utopia faction went to the South Continent for the Mystery Land trial, and, you know what? Our fellow citizens all came back in less than a year and brought with them big news." "What? They came back in less than a year?" "Yes, and back in that time, this young man Zhu Ke was also there. He was still an ordinary, but somehow he managed to crush the huge boats of both the Heaven Horn Ox tribe and the Prevailing Wind Pavilion in the upflowing sea. All the cultivators from the 2 factions died. Then he killed the cultivators who were left. My goodness, had any of our people been killed? No, since Zhu Ke is a good friend of our Holy Virgin, he let us leave and return home before it all started. It would seem then that this young man is quite nice." "Nonsense. How do you make that out? If you had seen how he killed them, you would definitely be frightened to death." The cultivators of the Utopia faction were all in a heated discussion. The few sect elders of the Utopia faction were rather upset and looked alertly at Zhu Ke, as if they were looking at someone who was going to cause them huge trouble. While the head of the Utopia faction stayed rather calm. He stared at Zhu Ke and said, "My dear friend, I have been told that you forced my fellows to come back during the Mystery Land trial and in this way saved their lives. But now you come to create trouble for me. I am wondering what are your real intentions." "I am sorry, who said I ever forced your fellows to go away? I would never do such a thing." "Jingning, you know what had really happened, tell them." Hearing this, Liu Jingning was surprised. She thought Zhu Ke was about to leave and didn't realize he had changed his mind so quickly and dared to speak against the head of the Utopia faction. "Little quack, you can't be rude." Liu Jingning glared at Zhu Ke and was afraid that he would really get into a fight with the head of the Utopia faction. Then, she turned to the head of the Utopia faction and said, "I think you have misunderstood him." Little Dato, "No. Zhu Ke is not an enemy of our Utopia faction. The reason we asked my peers to leave was because we were afraid that they might be hurt. Besides, Zhu Ke helped us to get a huge amount of living holy water." Liu Jingning quickly took out a jade bottle and handed it to the head of the Utopia faction. "You have got the living holy water?" The head was very surprised. He held the bottle in his hands and began to check it. He was amazed to find that there was a huge amount of living holy water inside it, which was totally unexpected. Zhu Ke found that the head of the Utopia faction did not know too much about what had happened in the outside world, particularly what had happened after the mysterious land trial. This might be because the Utopia faction was located at the very edge of the East Continent. "He does not even know I have dug out the living holy tree and have punched a patriarch of the form synthesis stage to death. Great. I think I will take this opportunity to act tough again." Thinking of this, Zhu Ke smiled. "My dear friend, I am sorry that I have misunderstood you." The head of the Utopia faction smiled. After all, the head of the Utopia faction could not possibly apologize to Zhu Ke. He was just putting on a show. In his view, Zuke was just a young cultivator who was good at tricking people and could never be regarded as a holy son. Zuke in fact did not care if the head of the Utopia faction truly meant to say sorry or not. He waved his hand and smiled. "You are being too polite." Hearing this, the head of the Utopia faction smiled and nodded and was very satisfied with Zuke's attitude. Liu Jingning also smiled and even felt a bit happy. She knew that Zuke was doing this for her. Right at this moment, the young man standing next to the old man in the red robe sneered. "I see, you are Zuke. Before we headed here, we had been told that there was a old patriarch of the Heaven Horn Ox tribe intending to kill you. I never thought you would still be alive. I guess the patriarch must have left in advance. Otherwise, you would already be dead by now." Hearing this, everyone in the main hall was shocked. The patriarch of the Heaven Horn Ox tribe was ambushing him outside the mysterious land? How on earth did this young man escape being killed? He is really a lucky man. Zuke smiled. "Oh, you mean the patriarch of the Heaven Horn Ox tribe? I am sorry to tell you that he is dead." "What? He is dead?" Everyone looked at Zuke in great confusion. Zuke touched his fist with one hand and smiled. "I punched him to death with only 3 shots. His body was crushed to pieces, or I would be very happy to use his flesh to make beef wraps." Hearing this, everyone was speechless. "You killed the patriarch of the Heaven Horn Ox tribe with only 3 shots? You must be lying. He is in the form synthesis stage, for God's sake. You think we are all idiots to believe your words?" Everyone shook their heads, even the head of the Utopia faction, and began to stare at Zuke coldly. The young man laughed out loud. "My friend, I finally know why there are so many people who want to kill you. I suggest you should work hard while you are still young. Stop daydreaming, and don't make yourself ridiculous in front of us." He then shook his head and his eyes were full of scorn, as if he was looking at a clown. Liu Jingning did not know how she could make everyone believe what Zuke had done. After all, what he did was really hard to imagine. Even those who saw it found it hard to believe. "You are so ignorant. I suggest you go out to see the world, read more newspapers, and watch more news. You are really embarrassing." Zuke sneered at the young man. The young man's face turned furious instantly. "How dare you? Do you have any idea who you are talking to?" "Screw you," Zuke said gently. "You." The young man was completely surprised by Zuke's words. His eyes opened wide. "Screw you," Zuke said again. "I will kill you." The young man was so angry that he was about to attack Zuke. "Enough!" Li Tangshan shouted aloud. He looked at Zuke coldly, and then turned to the head of the Utopia faction. "Today we have come here so my son can make a proposal to the Holy Virgin. Please get Zuke out of here. I have said, I am against the engagement." Zuke repeated. Hearing this, Li Tangshan's face turned black, and he was about to attack Zuke. Right at this moment, the young man suddenly said, "You said you disagree. I don't care. I have brought the betrothal presents. You can't stop me." Then, he sneered and waved his hand. The storage ring on his finger began to shine, and the next minute, a pile of treasures appeared on the ground. "We have brought an array of high-level, 1 million top-quality spiritual stones, and some magical weapons. I am going to ask Liu Jingning to marry me." Chapter 696. Your sincerity is really cheap. The words of the Li family's young master dropped the entire hall of the Utopia faction into a dead silence. All apprentices of the Utopia faction in the hall were totally shocked. The pupils of several elders at the void training stage contracted, their hands hidden in their sleeves also trembled a bit. Making eye contact, they found shock and ecstasy in each other's eyes. Even the mighty leader of the Utopia faction also changed his expression at this time. An expert spell, 1 million best-grade spirit stones, several magic artifacts. These betrothal gifts were far more than the Utopia faction had ever imagined possible. They never expected that their Holy Virgin and this marriage were so important for the Li family. After all, through this win-win cooperation, the status of both the parties could realize a giant leap in the world of cultivators in the future. Therefore, as long as the Utopia faction was willing to do that, they would accept the marriage request even if the Li family only offered tens of thousands of best-grade spirit stones. So, when the Lee family offered 1 million best-grade spirit stones and an expert spell, all the members of the Utopia faction just couldn't keep calm anymore. Even Liu Jingning was shocked by all this. She knew clearly the value of an expert spell, which could be deemed as a priceless treasure in the world of cultivators. The Utopia faction had spent a lot of time and effort to obtain an expert spell. After obtaining this one, they could activate 2 expert spells at the same time. Then, the protective effect of these 2 spells would almost be identical to the effect of a spiritual spell, and the defensive level of the Utopia faction would be the same as that of the rest of the overlords in the East Continent. This is incredible. I didn't expect the Lee family could make such a big investment. It seems the young master of the Lee family likes our Holy Virgin very much. Oh, no, our Holy Virgin is about to marry someone. My heart is bleeding. Nonsense. Don't tell me you have the guts to cast greedy eyes on our Holy Virgin. I dare not do that. I'm afraid only a scanty few people in this world could stare our Holy Virgin. Of course, the nickname She-Devil of our Holy Virgin didn't come out of nowhere. I doubt the young master of the Lee family will be able to steer her after marrying her. Many of the Utopia faction's apprentices were talking in low voices. Originally, they didn't dare to talk about this publicly. Now, after being shocked by the expert spell, they couldn't help but start their discussion. The apprentices had almost gone wild. The elders of the Utopia faction were also quite excited. This was an expert spell. Although it was not as precious as a Holy Virgin, they were not trading it for their Holy Virgin. They would obtain the spell by connecting with the Lee family through this marriage. After their marriage, Liu Jingning would still be their Holy Virgin. The Utopia faction would have a reliable ally. Anyway, the Utopia faction would get a fantastic bargain. Just an expert spell? Is it impressive? It's nothing for me. At this time, a dissonant voice echoed in the hall, which came from Zhu Ke. He shook his head and said disdainfully, as he picked his ears calmly, "Do you want to marry my little sister with an expert spell and 1 million best-grade spirit stones? You are too naive. How could my beautiful and wild sister Jingning accept these petty things as the betrothal gifts?" The apprentices and elders of the Utopia faction came to themselves suddenly. Right. It seems like this guy also has expert spells. Members of the Utopia faction who had gone to the Celestial Burial Valley mentioned that Zhu Ke had set up an expert spell outside the valley directly to facilitate Zhang Hongyan to cross her heavenly tribulations, which shocked many people at that time. Hey. The young master of the Lee family laughed suddenly. Then, he glanced at Zhu Ke and sneered, "I know you also have expert spells. Also, what you said is correct. An expert spell and 1 million best-grade spirit stones are not good enough for the Holy Virgin." What does he mean? Many apprentices and elders of the Utopia faction were surprised. Does it mean he still has other betrothal gifts? Holy Virgin Liu. At this time, the young master of the Lee family folded his hands gracefully as he looked at Liu Jingning. Liu Jingning frowned slightly and asked indifferently, "What?" In normal times, she wouldn't show her feelings through her face no matter how much she disliked someone. However, all these people had joined against Zhu Ke. Even though the young master of the Lee family hadn't done anything wrong, she was not in a mood to smile at him. However, the young master of the Lee family ignored Liu Jingning's reaction. He continued to behave gently and gracefully with a calm smile on his face. It seemed he had something secure to rely on. "Do you have the magic artifact of my second uncle with you?" he asked with a faint smile. "It's here." Liu Jingning replied concisely as she took out the magic artifact. It was a palm-sized blue jade that was crystal clear. A lot of runes were carved on the jade, which could be effective as long as it was activated. The young master of the Lee family smiled and turned to the faction leader of the Utopia faction and said, folding his hands, "Faction leader Mo, this magic artifact is also one of the betrothal gifts." "Oh?" The faction leader looked at the young master of the Lee family puzzledly, along with all the other people in the hall. They knew clearly that the young master still had something to say. If it was just an ordinary magic artifact, he wouldn't have mentioned it separately. As expected, the young master turned around and pointed at a big jade box on the ground and said with a faint smile, This expert spell would be extremely powerful together with the magic artifact in the Holy Virgin's hand. Together with your current expert spell, the three of them will be as powerful as a genuine spiritual spell. What? Several elders of the Utopia faction shouted. Even the faction leader of the Utopia faction changed his expression on the spot. A genuine spiritual spell. In the East Continent, only the Zhang family and the Gong family had this kind of spell. But now, in order to marry Liu Jingning, the young master of the Li family had made such a big investment to help the Utopia faction to set up a spiritual spell. This betrothal gift was too rich and incredible. All at once, only the loud breathing of the Utopia faction's members could be heard in the silent hall. Even Liu Jingning couldn't hold her seat now because of the great shock in her heart. She never expected the Li family could be so rich and generous. She had been pushed into a tight corner. Although her status was quite high as the Holy Virgin, she was a member of the Utopia faction. If she didn't want to accept the proposal for the betrothal gift as just an expert spell, the entire Utopia faction would respect her choice. However, if she said no to a spiritual spell, all the members of the Utopia faction would be annoyed, for the interest was too large to refuse. Faction leader Mo, my sincerity for Holy Virgin Liu is surely evident. I hereby earnestly request you to help us in achieving our marriage. The young master of the Li family stepped to the center of the hall and said seriously, as he folded his hands and bowed to the faction leader confidently. The faction leader turned to Liu Jingning immediately. He was not soliciting the opinion of Liu Jingning, but he tried to imply to her that the Utopia faction was not able to and even couldn't afford to refuse these betrothal gifts. Liu Jingning changed her expression instantly. Then, she turned to Zhu Ke. Zhu Ke was sitting on a chair and picking his ears idly with a faint smile on his face. The next moment, he said with a smile as he shook his head, "Young master of the Li family, you managed to scrape together a spiritual spell, and you said it could represent your sincerity, right? Hey, I have to say your sincerity is so damn cheap." After saying that, he waved his hand. Whoosh! Along with a loud ringing sound, several bright lights appeared, suddenly floating in front of Liu Jingning. "Little sister, you could choose freely among these spiritual spells." "Oh, forget it, just take them all, for they take up too much space and also they are quite heavy." "See, I am exhausted and can stand up only when you kiss me, hug me, and raise me up." Chapter 697, Kiss him, hug him, hold him high. The entire hall was deathly quiet. Everyone was too shocked to believe what they had seen and stood still as if they had lost their souls. "This is impossible." The young man was stunned and his lips were trembling. In the entire East Continent, there were less than 10 arrays of spiritual level in total. Meanwhile, Zhu Ke had easily taken out that many arrays of spiritual levels, which was indeed shocking. What was more shocking was that all the arrays were real. Their spiritual chi was so thick and magnificent. Each one of them was much more powerful than that provided by the Li family. Zhu Ke was very calm and looked like he really did not care about giving these arrays of spiritual levels to Liu Jingning for free. While for the Li family, Zhu Ke's indifference felt like torture. The young man of the Li family bit his lips till they bled and clenched his hands hard, the veins on his hands all swelling up. He was feeling very embarrassed. Li Tengshan and the young woman standing next to him were also stunned. The Li family had thought that the Utopia faction would be very happy to agree to a marriage for Liu Jingning once they managed to provide an array of spiritual level. They also felt very proud when they laid out the betrothal presents. But now they only wanted to hide in a hole. "Please take away these arrays. They are too heavy for me to carry. I am so exhausted. All I want is for you to kiss me, hug me, and hold me high in the air," Zhu Ke said, while opening his arms to Liu Jingning, as if he was a tiny baby who craved for care and love. "The arrays of spiritual level are too heavy for you, and you are too tired to carry them around anymore? You are really too bitchy. You are a grown man, not a child. You want our Holy Virgin to kiss you, hug you, and hold you high?" The members of the Utopia faction really thought Zhu Ke was being ridiculous. Seeing a pile of arrays of spiritual level, The cultivators of the Utopia faction could no longer hide their excitement. The sect leaders of the Utopia faction were so excited that their bodies began to tremble. Even the head took a deep breath to calm himself down. Liu Jingning was also a bit shocked. Although she had already guessed that Zhu Ke had some arrays, she never thought he had been carrying so many of them with him. When she heard that Zhu Ke would give all of them to her for free, she was stunned. Little Quack, you. Liu Jingning looked at Zhu Ke directly and was about to speak. Zhu Ke was still opening his arms to her. It seemed that if Liu Jingning did not do as he asked, he would not put his arms down. No matter how tough Liu Jingning was, she could not stand this anymore, in particular in front of all her peers. Stop behaving like this. Liu Jingning rolled her eyes and pretended to be angry. Zhu Ke did not want to let her go and continued to hold his arms open to her. No, 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 I will not put my arms down until you kiss me, hug me, and hold me high. Liu Jingning almost passed out. And then she realized that the reason why he was behaving like this was probably because of her. Just a few moments before, she had told everyone that there was nothing between her and Zhu Ke. Zhu Ke was a bit upset by this, so he was now proving there was something special between him and her. Seeing Liu Jingning standing still, many young cultivators of the Utopia faction got rather anxious. Hug him, then you can get so many arrays of spiritual level for free. Still, Liu Jingning made no movement. Hug him. A young cultivator accidentally shouted aloud. It was so loud that everyone in the room heard. Liu Jingning glared at him, while the next minute, all the other cultivators followed him. Hug him. Hug. The Li family stood there looking like fools. All the sect leaders, as well as the head of the Utopia faction, were silent and pretended that they could not hear the uproar. See, everyone is asking you to hug me. Zhu Ke laughed and smiled, while opening his arms for her. Liu Jingning was feeling extremely awkward. Normally, she would flirt with Zhu Ke, or even have some physical contact with him, but she would only dare to do so when there were no other people around. This time, Zhu Ke wanted her to do it in public, which was really embarrassing. Oops, I just searched my storage ring and I find another object which I do not need anymore. Zhu Ke screamed on purpose. In his palm, there was a round stone with an array on its surface. The stone was transparent and was surrounded by a light black light, giving out a thick ancient chi. This is the ancient scary array. A sect leader shouted aloud. Hearing this, everyone in the main hall went mad. They were surprised that Zhu Ke had an ancient scary array, which was even more powerful than an array of spiritual level. The sect leaders looked at each other and took a deep breath together, as if they had made some agreement. Then they joined the young cultivators shouting, "Kiss him, kiss, kiss, kiss." Liu Jingning was completely shocked and could not believe her always serious sect leaders were joined in the shouting. Oops, I found one more. Zhu Ke took out another ancient scary array. The head of the Utopia faction could not be calm anymore and shouted, "Hold him high." Chapter 698, Raise him up. Just raise him up. The Utopia faction's leader shouted out this order in such a passionate, exciting way. After a short period of silence, the entire hall was filled with uproar again. Raise him up, raise him up, raise him up. The apprentices and elders of the Utopia faction were shouting loudly and raising their arms rhythmically. They really had no choice. Instead of spiritual spells, what Zhu Ke took out and offered were two ancient ominous spells. Moral integrity was meaningless now. Moral integrity couldn't make the Utopia faction more powerful. Liu Jingning was in a mess at this time. She widened her eyes and stared at the faction leader with disbelief. How could the mighty and powerful faction leader say just raise him up? Little sister, see, your faction leader also asked you to do that. Come on. Come here and raise me up, come on. Zhu Ke was so delighted as he made faces at Liu Jingning, with a mean smile on his face. You are shameless. Liu Jingning snorted as she stomped her feet. She was so anxious to give Zhu Ke a bite. However, she was so embarrassed now. She had never been pushed by others in this way. More important, the ones who pushed her were members of the Utopia faction, including the elders and the faction leader. Little sister, Do you still dare to be so naughty in the future? Zukei's voice came into her ears at this time. She turned around and found Zukei was sending her messages with his mean smile. Liu Jingning knew Zukei was seeking revenge for things that had happened before. Her heart was full of helplessness, but also great happiness. This meant that he cared about her, and it was also a disguised declaration that there was a special relationship between them. Moreover, in order to prove his words, Zukei took out several spiritual spells and 2 ancient ominous spells without hesitation. These precious gifts could definitely conquer numerous holy virgins in the world of cultivators. However, Liu Jingning wouldn't be subdued by Zukei's tricks so easily. She widened her beautiful eyes slightly and sent a message. HMPH, little quack, don't you worry, I will tell this to Hong Yan. I'm not worried about that, Zukei said confidently, sticking out his chest. Liu Jingning asked, really? Zukei nodded his head. Of course. Okay, I have kept it in my heart. When I enter the ancient bronze hall, I will absolutely tell this to Hong Yan. No problem. But now you still have to kiss me, hug me, and raise me up. Come on, I'm ready, Zukei replied, sending a message with a smile. Liu Jingning really had no choice. She stared at Zukei embarrassedly and said decidedly at last, I will never kiss you, hug you, and raise you up. Are you sure? Zukei said with a smile. Sure. Liu Jingning raised her delicate chin like a naughty little girl, who was quite cute and smart. Zukei smiled and turned to the faction leader of the Utopia faction. Then, he exclaimed, Faction leader Mo, this is not good. Your holy virgin doesn't want to raise me up. My fragile heart has been hurt. I think it's time for me to go. Go? Is the man of property going to leave? We can't let this happen. Hearing his words, the apprentices and the faction leader couldn't hold their seats anymore. They couldn't accept that the cooked duck flew away. All at once, the faction leader glared at Liu Jingning seriously and said in a majestic way, Holy Virgin, since my young friend really likes you, you should satisfy his requirement by hugging him and raising him up. This last sentence was a pointed reminder to Liu Jingning that she should hug Zukei and raise Zukei up, so that they could obtain the 2 ancient ominous spells, and this was not negotiable. Liu Jingning didn't look up but just bowed to the faction leader slightly and said in a low voice, Faction leader, I'm not feeling well now. I think you could hug him and raise him up. I guess he should be quite happy to get the glory. The faction leader's eyes opened wide with shock. Apparently, he didn't expect that Liu Jingning would reply like this. He became instantly speechless. Although he was the mighty faction leader, it was still inappropriate to force their holy virgin to do what he was asking. He didn't know what to do for a moment. Zukei also smiled, for he also didn't expect Liu Jingning could be so smart that she managed to kick the ball back to her faction leader. Then, the faction leader of the Utopia faction, who didn't know what to do, had to turn to Zukei again and say, clearing his throat, My young friend, is it okay if we find another person to raise you up? He looked down on Zukei's strength. However, even though he was a mighty faction leader, he had to be polite to Zukei, who had 2 ancient ominous spells. Also, he couldn't take the spells forcibly, for he knew Zukei had a kind of spell that could help him to escape instantly. Find another person. Zukei touched his jaw and pretended he was quite hesitant. Actually, he didn't want to force Liu Jingning to raise him up in front of so many people. Even if Liu Jingning was willing to do that, Zukei wouldn't accept that. As the king of tough acting, it would be quite humiliating for him to be raised up like a baby. Right, we can find another person. The faction leader's eyes lit up when he saw Zukei's hesitation. Then, I have to look around first. Zukei pretended to be cooperative and started to glance at the apprentices in the hall. In addition, he didn't look at the female apprentices and only fixed his eyes on the male apprentices. Seeing that, all the male apprentices of the Utopia faction turned pale and lowered their heads hurriedly to avoid eye contact with Zukei. Zukei enjoyed this scene where everyone lowered their heads in front of him very much. At last, he started to glance at people of the Li family and fixed his eyes on their young master. The young master shivered a bit and widened his eyes. He couldn't help but step back because of the terror. What does he mean? Is this guy insane? Why is he staring at me? Don't tell me he wants me to raise him up. Damn. No way. Young master of the Lee family, could you? Zhu Ke said tentatively at this time. The young master of the Lee family changed his expression abruptly and yelled, "Shut up. I won't raise you." Eh? Zhu Ke was surprised and said with a smile, "You won't raise me, are you sure?" "Bullcrap. I am the young master of the Lee family. I will never raise you up. Moreover, this is something between you and the Utopia faction. Why do you ask me to do that?" The young master snorted. His heart was full of grievance. However, he could do nothing. Zhu Ke could take out the ancient ominous spells. No matter how reluctant the young master was, he couldn't change that fact and even had to see the two ancient ominous spells were obtained by the Utopia faction. Alas, what a pity. "You are so young, why can't you raise me up?" Zhu Ke sighed as he shook his head. Then, he turned to the faction leader of the Utopia faction. Seeing that, the faction leader shouted immediately, "Why are you looking at me? I won't raise you up either." Chapter 699. Where is your sense of integrity? Zhu Ke could not believe his ears. They all said they have erectile dysfunction? My goodness, this is so funny. I have never seen anyone brave enough to tell others that he has erectile dysfunction. Zhu Ke looked at the head of the Utopia faction and sighed. "I am sorry to hear this, but it's normal at your age." Hearing this, the head of the Utopia faction was relieved and smiled. "Thank you for your consideration. I am really too old to hold you up. I think you'd better find someone else instead." Zhu Ke gently touched his jaw and turned to look at the others. Trying to avoid Zhu Ke's eyes, all the male cultivators of the Utopia faction lowered their heads. Among them, an extremely strong cultivator accidentally saw Zhu Ke's eyes and was terrified. "I am sorry. Although I look like a very strong guy, I also have erectile dysfunction." "So do I. I have been suffering from a very young age." "So do I." Everyone backed off. All of a sudden, the atmosphere in the main hall got very strange. Anyone who Zhu Ke laid his eyes on would strangely have a case of erectile dysfunction. "Little Quack, we need to get back to business. Put your ancient scary array back where you keep it. The ancient scary array is very precious. Don't take out it like this again." Liu Jingning sent a voice message to Zhu Ke. In the past, if she spot an ancient scary array, she would definitely risk everything to have it and gave it to the head of the Utopia faction. However, somehow she regarded Zhu Ke's interest more important than that of the Utopia faction. Zhu Ke smiled and felt it was time to stop joking with them. After all, he had made lots of acting tough points which were enough to buy a few arrays of spiritual level. As for the ancient scary array, he could return it back to the system if Liu Jingning really doesn't want it. Since Zhu Ke upgraded the system into version 5.0, he found he could return something he bought from the system in a day, on condition that this certain object had never been used. "You really don't want the ancient scary array?" Zhu Ke sent a voice message to Liu Jingning. In fact, if Liu Jingning wanted to have one, he would give one to her without any hesitation. Then Liu Jingning shook her head and said, "Put it away. Besides, I only want one array of spiritual level from you. You can also put the rest of arrays away." "No. I can put the ancient scary array away, and when you agree to kiss me and hug me, I will give it to you for free. But as for these arrays, I have decided to give them to you. I have to stick to my words." "To be honest, I really don't think these arrays are something really great." Zhu Ke sent Liu Jingning a voice message. "But I don't need to so many arrays right at his moment. And it is such a nuisance for me to carry so many arrays with me. I can even be aimed at by cultivators who want these arrays very much." "Wait a minute, does it mean you have decided to stay beside me and protect me?" Liu Jingning smiled. "Well, you can have one array and give it to the Utopia faction. As for the rest, you can have them whenever you want." Zhu Ke thought for a while and said, "An array of spiritual level costed more than 1,000 acting tough points. And it was not a big deal for Zhu Ke. While an ancient scary array was very expensive, 2 ancient scary array would cost about 30,000 acting tough points in total. With all the acting tough points he had currently, He felt it was better for him to be frugal. Then Zuke waved his hand and put the arrays as well as the ancient scary array back into his system parcel. Seeing this, the cultivators of the Utopia faction were a bit unhappy. What is he doing? He has just said that he would give them to our Holy Virgin. Why he suddenly takes them back? My dear friend, I am a bit confused. Why? The head of the Utopia faction was a bit anxious. In fact, it was the first time for him to see an ancient scary array. What? You are not satisfied? I never thought that everyone in the famous Utopia faction has Ed. I am sorry, but I have no idea what I can do. Never mind, I will give you an array of spiritual level for now, Zuke said. Hearing this, the head was a bit embarrassed. As the head of the Utopia faction, he could not lower himself to hold Zuke up, and could not force his fellows to do so either. The rest of the cultivators of the Utopia faction and the sect leaders were all upset. No one goes forward to hold him up, for God's sake. We can have an ancient scary array if any of us goes forward to hold him up. Anyone will do. Maybe the female cultivators would want to hold him up, but apart from Liu Jingning, Zuke only went for male cultivators. Clearly, no male cultivator would like to hold him up, since anyone who did so would be a laughingstock in the entire cultivation world. So they could do nothing but to watch Zuke putting all the arrays away. At the same time, Liu Jingning was sending a voice message to the head of the Utopia faction, asking him what had happened in the Infinite Sea and why the patriarchs all headed there. Realizing Liu Jingning was sending voice message to the head, Zuke sat on a chair and closed his eyes to have a rest. Meanwhile, Li Tangshan and his son looked at each other and smiled together, as if they had reached to some agreement. They had decided to kill Zuke and take all the arrays away. If Zuke really gave his ancient scary array to the Utopia faction, it would not be easy for them to take it away. But if Zuke still carried it around and once he left the Utopia faction, they could kill him and have the ancient scary array their own. Little KK, I know what has happened. Liu Jingning sent a voice message to Zuke, who was taking a nap. He suddenly opened his eyes and saw Liu Jingning's worried face. What has happened? Zuke asked. Something big is going to happen across the 4 continents, and it has something to do with Hongyan. We shall head to the Infinite Sea now, and I will tell you what happened on our way there, Liu Jingning said. Good. Zuke nodded. Then Liu Jingning and Zuke said goodbye to the head of the Utopia faction, and was about to leave. The head of the Utopia faction looked at Li Tangshan with a complex facial expression and said, You must be very tired after a long journey. Why not stay here for a few more couple of days and I will let you have a great time here. Thank you. But we still have something urgent to deal with, so I am afraid that we will leave too, Li Tangshan said coldly and left with his peers. After a while, the head of the Utopia faction stood up and frowned. It seems that they are going to take the ancient scary array away from Zuke. A sect leader shook his head. That young man is still too young and naive. He should not have taken out the ancient scary array and show it off. Anyone would want to rob him when knowing there is an ancient scary array with him. Do you think we should send some cultivators to help him? After all, our Holy Virgin is with him. What if? Hearing this, the head of the Utopia faction smiled. I don't think so. That young man has the divine tracking emblem. The Li family cannot catch up with him. In fact, if it were not for Zuke's having the divine tracking emblem, the Utopia faction would have already taken the ancient scary array away themselves. But a sect leader said in a low voice, Jingning was behaving rather strange just now. I can feel her attitude towards Zuke was a bit different. The other sect leaders also nodded. I am afraid there must be romance between them. I don't think we should encourage this. Although Zuke has got many treasures, but he is far more inferior to our Holy Virgin, both in terms of his social class and strength. Most importantly, that Zuke is notorious in the cultivation world, and many cultivators hate him. If our Holy Virgin is being too close to him, I am afraid us Utopia faction would be affected. My goodness, he gave us an array of spiritual level for free today. Once this news spreads out, people would think we are in the same boat with Zuke. All of a sudden, the few sect leaders frowned and got very worried. Hearing this, the head of the Utopia faction sighed. This is exactly what I am concerned about, but that is an array of spiritual level, for God's sake. How can I possibly refuse to accept? No one said anything. After a while, the head of Utopia faction said in a low voice, I have got an idea. You go and spread the news that Zuke is a man with no integrity at all. Back in the mysterious land trial in the South Continent, he caused so much pain and loss to us. So today he came himself to apologize to us and gave us an array of spiritual level as compensation. Hearing this, a sect leader asked in hesitation, do you really mean this? Bang! A few rays of light were flying towards the main hall rather quickly. A few sect leaders turned around and asked in great surprise, I thought the elder sect leaders are still in the South Continent. Why on earth they hurriedly come back? Can it be possible that something bad happens? The next moment, a few figures landed and hurriedly went inside the main hall. We have been told that a troublemaker is heading to the Utopia faction, an elder sect leader said hurriedly as soon as he stepped into the main hall. Who is the troublemaker then? The sect leaders were shocked to see the elder sect leader getting so nervous for the very first time and began to wonder who the troublemaker really was. The elder sect leader said hurriedly, that troublemaker is called Zuke. I think you must have all heard of him before. He is really a dangerous figure. You know what? He punched the patriarchs of the Heaven Horn Ox tribe to death with only 3 shots. Someone told me that he is going to come to us soon. What? Zuke? Hearing this, everyone in the main hall was stunned. So did the head of the Utopia faction, who sat still on the chair, as if he had lost his soul. Pinching the patriarchs of the Heaven Horn Ox tribe to death with only 3 shots? This cannot be possible. No one could really believe that. They have been just told. Yes, that's him. The elder sect leader nodded. I was right at the neighboring of the mysterious land when this happened. I saw him walking out from the mysterious land with our Holy Virgin. The patriarchs of the Heaven Horn Ox tribe attacked him first, and then Zuke killed him. Anyway, this young man is really scary. If he really comes here, we should never make him unhappy. Hearing this, everyone took a deep breath. My goodness, what Zuke said earlier is true. Now I think of it, he said all of this rather calmly, as if he was telling a story or something. No wonder he dared to take the ancient scary array like that without worrying that someone might sneak attack him. He is very confident that no one can really kill him. Not because he has the divine tracking emblem that could help him run away. No wonder he said that he had the right to disagree with the engagement between the son of Li family and Liu Jingning, because he is the Zuke, who is going to be famous across the entire 4 continents. How dangerous! A sect leader wiped away the cold sweat on his forehead and said, earlier, the few sect leaders were almost about to rob Zuke. If they really have done so, the entire Utopia faction would have already been wiped out by now. The patriarchs of the Utopia faction had already gone to the Infinite Sea, and even if they were still here, they could not possibly kill Zuke. What do you mean by saying that? The elder sect leader asked. The few sect leaders looked at each other and told what had transpired earlier to the elder sect leader. When the elder sect leader knew what had happened, he was nearly frightened to death. You are really foolish. He won't come here without full preparations. Thank God you have not got into a fight with him, otherwise, it would be catastrophe if you did so. Then he sighed and looked at Downhills with a sentimental look. I am afraid that this time the Li family is in deep trouble. Robbing someone who was able to kill a patriarch who was in the form synthesis stage was tantamount to taking suicide. Bang! The head of the Utopia faction knocked on the table heavily and suddenly stood up. Spread the news that Zuke is such a talented and diligent man and is the model of today's young people. It is a great honor that he come here today, and he has given us an array of spiritual level as the betrothal present and is going to marry Liu Jingning, the Holy Virgin of the Utopia faction. Hearing this, everyone in the main hall was surprised and stood still. The few sect leaders looked at each other with funny facial expressions and could not believe their ears. Where is your sense of integrity? Chapter 700. This is most urgent. In the desolate mountains several hundred kilometers away from the Utopia faction, Zuke and Liu Jingning were flying toward the nearest teleportation device as they prepared to leave for the North Sea. As they were on their way, Zhu Ke asked Liu Jingning, "Little sister, what the hell is happening in the Infinite Sea? I am confused." Liu Jingning replied seriously, "Just now, our faction leader told me that before leaving for the Infinite Sea, the patriarchs of the Utopia faction said the shackle of the four continents is about to be broken. A chaotic period is coming." "A chaotic period? That's none of my business. Now, the most urgent thing is to save Hongyan," Zhu Ke said in surprise. He did not want to participate in things like saving the world. For him, the most important thing was to save Zhang Hongyan. Then, he would accumulate acting tough points and prepare to go back to Earth, so that he could find out the reason for his death in his past life and even visit his younger sister. "Listen to me," Liu Jingning said. "The four continents are not all of the world of cultivators. Outside the Infinite Sea, there are another two larger continents, which face the North Sea and the East Continent across the sea respectively. It is said that the big shots in the ancient times set up the shackle together to isolate the four continents from those two continents. Now the shackle is about to be broken, and sects from those two continents are planning to invade our four continents to rob resources and lands. So, this entire area will fall into disorder soon." "How is this related to Hongyan?" Zhu Ke frowned. The reason that he left for the North Sea with Liu Jingning was that Liu Jingning had told him that the thing that happened in the Infinite Sea was related to Zhang Hongyan. Now, it seemed it was more or less irrelevant. "That's the problem," Liu Jingning said, as her expression became more and more serious. "According to the original calculation of the patriarchs, the shackle will be broken for at least 10 years. However, the ancient book obtained by Dong Zhenji is related to the ancient bronze hall and the shackle." "What do you mean?" Zhu Ke was stunned. The ancient book obtained by Dong Zhenji was compiled by the owner of the ancient bronze hall, who is from the Xuanzan continent that faces the Infinite Sea across the sea. After obtaining the ancient book, Dong Zhenji found a way to contact the Xuanzan continent. Then, he started to collude with a powerful sect there, along with patriarchs of several sects here. They plan to break the shackle forcibly from inside with the assistance of that powerful sect. In this way, the cultivators of that powerful sect may enter the four continents first to rob resources and lands. Liu Jingning's face was filled with horror as she recounted this. Because Dong Zhenji had betrayed all the cultivators in the four continents just for his own interest. Zhu Ke, who didn't care about the four continents, also frowned after hearing that. He thought Dong Zhenji was just a hypocrite, but he certainly didn't expect Dong Zhenji could be so wicked and shameless. Zhu Ke regretted that he hadn't killed Dong Zhenji directly in the upflowing sea. "Wait, how do your patriarchs know that? Do they also cooperate with Dong Zhenji?" Zhu Ke asked suddenly as he looked at Liu Jingning curiously. Liu Jingning rolled her eyes at Zhu Ke and said snappily, "Little quack. Although the Utopia faction is a demonic sect, we won't do things that could offend heaven and reason. Actually, we heard this from the patriarch of the illusionary flower and moon sect. Dong Zhenji invited them to work with him, but they didn't want to do it. Therefore, they asked the patriarchs of our Utopia faction and other sects to go to the Infinite Sea to stop Dong Zhenji and those patriarchs who chose to work with him from breaking the shackle." Zhu Ke raised his eyebrows and asked, "Since some people have gone there to stop them, why should we also go there? What if they failed?" "This relates to the safety of numerous cultivators in the four continents. If a great battle is about to happen in the future, countless ordinary persons and creatures will also be destroyed. How could you stay away from it?" Liu Jingning asked. "My God, little sister, I am not a savior. Some other heroes should save this world. Moreover, you said the shackle will be broken after 10 years. I can do nothing to stop that." Zhu Ke shrugged helplessly. Frankly speaking, he could do nothing about this issue. The acting tough points he had were only enough for him to use the king of tough acting fist around 10 times. If he was attacked by 20 or 30 patriarchs at the form synthesis stage together, he would absolutely be defeated. "So, you are not going to go to the Infinite Sea to help, right?" Liu Jingning asked again. "Right." Zhu Ke shook his head directly. It seemed it was a magnificent task to save the world. However, if he failed, he could lose his life easily, which was a negative bargain for him. Liu Jingning asked again, "Really?" Zhu Ke replied, "Absolutely." Liu Jingning curled her lips and snorted, "What about Hongyan? Why is it related to Hongyan again?" Zhu Ke was surprised immediately. Liu Jingning couldn't help but roll her eyes at Zhu Ke and continued, "It is said that the sect in the Xuanzan continent is aiming at the ancient Bronze Hall this time. They emphasize that they will not only rob resources and lands, but also take the ancient Bronze Hall away." Dong Zhenji agreed with that without any hesitation. "What?" Zhu Ke widened his eyes immediately. He didn't expect those foreign enemies were targeting the ancient Bronze Hall. "Now what should we do? Are we still heading for the Infinite Sea?" Liu Jingning looked at Zhu Ke with a sarcastic smile on her face. Zhu Ke patted his chest and said earnestly, "Of course, the four continents are endangered. I will never sit by idly." "What is the motto of our Exploding Heavens faction?" "It is everyone's duty to save the world. The four continents are in danger. The members of the Exploding Heavens faction will definitely go to the front line to overcome all difficulties fearlessly. We will give no thoughts to life and death. Come on, little sister. This is most urgent, and we can't afford any delay." Liu Jingning was totally dumbfounded by his change of attitude. "It is everyone's duty to save the world. The members of the Exploding Heavens faction will go to the front line when the four continents are in danger, and this is most urgent? This is totally different with what you said just now. Little sister, come on, we shall seize every minute and second to stop Dong Zhenji," Zhu Ke urged. Liu Jingning rolled her eyes speechlessly. Then, just as she was about to say something, she turned around, furrowing her eyebrows. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Suddenly, there came several ear-rending sounds. Liu Jingning's face darkened and she said seriously, "We've got company." "What?" Zhu Ke had also noticed several lights were dashing toward them from the Utopia faction, which was behind Liu Jingning. Hey. It seems they are people of the Li family, with murderous looks on their faces. They look quite sick and should be treated with electric shock. Zhu Ke squinted his eyes and smiled coldly as he looked at the figures in those lights. When he was in the Utopia faction, he didn't want to punish the people of the Li family. Now, since they came with ill intent, he wouldn't spare their lives anymore. After all, for him, the people of the Li family were just like walking experience points and acting tough points, which were waiting for his harvest. Chapter 701, You Want to Rob Me? The cultivators of the Li family were chasing very fast after Zhu Ke. "Slow down, why are you in such a hurry? I promise I won't run away. I will wait for you right here." Zhu Ke stopped and smiled, holding his hands against his chest. Liu Jingning was also very calm, since she knew clearly Zhu Ke's strength and was not worried at all. In the blink of an eye, the cultivators of the Li family caught up with Zhu Ke and Liu Jingning and blocked their way. The son of Li Tengshan seemed rather indifferent. The young woman was a bit excited, and Li Tengshan was giving a rather fake smile to Zhu Ke. "My dear friend, I am so happy to meet you again. This is totally unexpected. I believe it is all because of fate. I think it is more than fate that brings us together again. I was sure there would be more stories between us." Zhu Ke laughed out loud. Hearing this, Li Tengshan was a bit stunned. Even a fool can guess my intentions. Why is he still so calm? Anyway, I have been told that although he is in the void training stage, he has not got his own Taoist connotation, which means that he could not kill me. Besides, I am in the top level of the void training stage, and there is only one step before I step into the form synthesis stage. My dear friend, if you really think so, why not drop by my home, and we can have a good chat with each other while enjoying a few cups of tea? Li Tengshan smiled. I never thought the Li family was one for great hospitality. What a shame. I happen to have some urgent things to deal with. I am going to save the world, so excuse me, Zhu Ke said while shaking his head. The son of the Li family laughed aloud. Zhu Ke, are you daydreaming? You think we would really invite you to our family home? Let me tell you, you're not qualified. I see. Then would any of you be kind enough to tell me what is really going on? Your father is inviting me over while you are against it. To be honest, I have no idea who to listen to. Zhu Ke laughed. The son of the Li family sneered. You are carrying so many arrays of spiritual level and a few ancient scary arrays. It is too dangerous, and you could be spotted by any greedy cultivators. I suggest you give all of them to us, and I promise you that I will look after them for you. Looking after them for me? I am afraid that once I give them to you, I can never take them back. Why do I feel like you are going to rob me? Zhu Ke said with great surprise. The next minute, Li Tangshan said in a low voice, My dear friend, I think you have misunderstood us. You would be in great danger if you show any of your arrays to others. I am such a kind man and would be very happy to look after them for you. How can you think of us as such bad people? I see. Zhu Ke nodded and smiled. But I never asked you to do this for me. I must say you are really presumptuous. How dare you? Li Tangshan shouted. Enough. Since you already know our intentions, I think there is no need for me to beat around the bush. You can keep all the arrays of spiritual level, but you must give us the 2 ancient scary arrays, otherwise, you will be killed. By the way, we are going to rob you, and so what? Wow, you really want to rob me? Zhu Ke asked with great amazement. After all, he had always been the one to rob others, not the other way around. You mean you want to rob us here? Well, you clearly know this area is under the control of the Utopia faction. Liu Jingning asked. The son of the Li family smiled. You think too much. The reason why we do so is for your benefit. I know you and your peers would not be willing to rob him. It's totally fine. I would be happy to do that for you. When this business is done, I can give the Utopia faction an ancient scary array. Hearing this, Liu Jingning was speechless. What he said is absolutely right. Clearly, the head of the Utopia faction knows their intentions, but they haven't sent anyone to help us yet. Does this mean he agrees with the Li family's suggestions? Right at this moment, a shadow suddenly appeared in the air. Here comes the Utopia faction. Liu Jingning instantly recognized this shadow, judging from the clothes he wore. The shadow then shouted aloud. The head of the Utopia faction praised Zhu Ke as a talented and diligent young man and a model for today's young people. Since he has given the Utopia faction an array of spiritual level as the betrothal present, the head has agreed on their matrimony. As soon as he finished, the shadow flew away, while chanting the same words. Hearing this, the entire Li family was shocked, as were Zhu Ke and Liu Jingning. What is going on? I remember that before I left the Utopia faction, the head still looked down on me. Why on earth has he changed his attitude all of a sudden? Besides, he even sent his fellow to spread the news that I am going to marry Liu Jingning. My god, this is such a hurry. It seems that the Utopia faction wants to have all the arrays. We should hurry. The son of the Li family shouted, thinking that the Utopia faction had sold Liu Jingning to Zhu Ke to get the 2 ancient scary arrays. Li Tangshan also got anxious and was afraid the head of the Utopia faction could come at any time, so he quickly reached out his hand to Zhu Ke. Bang! A hurricane appeared and surrounded Zhu Ke. Kill him! The son of the Li family shouted. Suddenly, he saw a figure being thrown from the hurricane, and it was Li Tangshan. He could not even see how he was thrown out and found Li Tangshan's chest collapsed and blood oozing from his mouth. Seeing this, the young woman of the Li family exclaimed, How can this be possible? Li Tangshan looked at Zhu Ke in great horror. Meanwhile, Zhu Ke slowly walked out from the hurricane, with his 2 hands behind his back. He was still intact, and his hair was not even touched. He smiled, with his bright teeth shining in the sun. This is what you call robbing? Let me show you what robbing really is. Now, give me everything you have got. I mean everything, including your clothes, your underpants, and your bras. Chapter 702, The Silver Worm of Thread Shadow. A plunder? The people of the Li family were dumbfounded on the spot. Zhu Ke's words were echoing in their minds. However, what really terrified them was Zhu Ke's strength. The hurricane released by Li Tangshan had swamped Zhu Ke, but it hadn't caused any real damage to Zhu Ke. More important, nobody saw clearly how Zhu Ke blew off and seriously wounded Li Tangshan. This could only be realized by a powerhouse at the form synthesis stage. Impossible. This is absolutely impossible. What did you do? Li Tangshan asked, clenching his teeth as he stood up from the ground. He couldn't believe that he had been crushed by Zhu Kei's strength. The young master of the Li family was also shocked, but he came to himself soon and said in surprise, "It is said that his magic arts are quite powerful. They might even be the celestial arts." It seems the hearsay is true. However, he doesn't have the Taoist connotation, so he can't kill cultivators at the void training stage. No Taoist connotation? Li Tangshan asked suspiciously. Just now, Zhu Kei's attack had been so fast that Li Tangshan hadn't had time to sense Zhu Kei's magic art, let alone to check his Taoist connotation. Faintly, Li Tangshan could sense a kind of mundane Taoist connotation contained in Zhu Kei's attack, which was insignificant and even negligible. Could it be a kind of delusion? Li Tangshan frowned, and he took a pill to heal his wounds quickly. At the same time, the young master of the Li family also calmed down. Since he remembered Zhu Kei had no Taoist connotation, he had become more and more convinced that Zhu Kei was nothing to be afraid of. "Second uncle, don't be terrified by him. He only has powerful magic arts but no Taoist connotation. As long as you are careful enough, you could kill him with a minor wound," the young master of the Li family said unscrupulously. Liu Jingning darkened her face and snorted, "People of the Li family, are you so shameless?" The young master of the Li family smiled coldly. "Holy Virgin Liu, since you are still here, you should go to the Li family with me after my second uncle kills Zhu Kei, so that we can hold our grand wedding ceremony. Are you sure?" Liu Jingning smiled sarcastically, as if she was talking with an idiot. She was quite sure that the Li family, no matter how powerful it was just an ant compared to Zhu Kei. "Of course, when you become my wife, your faction leader will never contract enmity with the Li family," the young master of the Li family said maliciously. Confidently, with a cold smile on his face, he said, "By the way, I want to tell you, a silver worm of thread shadow was hidden in the magic artifact your father borrowed from my second uncle. When your father used the magic artifact, the worm entered his body." "What?" Liu Jingning changed her expression, widening her eyes. Her body couldn't help but tremble. "Ha ha, no wonder you are a holy virgin. You are as smart as expected. You managed to figure out the reason in such a short time." "Exactly. My second uncle activated the worm in your father's body, and the worm absorbed all his true core strength, which caused his death in the battle." The young master of the Li family laughed loudly. Liu Jingning's face was as pale as paper. Her beautiful eyes were full of sadness and fury. She never expected that her father's death was caused by a trick of others. The young master's eyes were full of greed. He said, staring at Liu Jingning, "Don't be sad. After all, your father's death activated that worm. Now we are here to propose a marriage to the Utopia faction because we need your bloodline to nourish that worm, so that it can be perfected. However, before that happens, I won't mind enjoying a bit of physical pleasure with you." "You are looking for death?" Liu Jingning yelled furiously, her eyes reddened from tears. Then, she dashed toward the young master of the Li family and prepared to attack him with magic arts. The young master of the Li family shook his head and smiled coldly. "Holy Virgin Liu, it is really unnecessary to be so reckless. You can only defeat me and my younger sister in your next life." Whoosh! After saying that, he took out his sword and pointed it at Liu Jingning, who was dashing directly toward him. Meanwhile, the woman beside him also started to attack with magic arts without saying a word. The young master of the Li family believed Zhu Kei could be controlled by Li Tangshan, and he and the woman could defeat Liu Jingning easily. However, just at this moment, a cold snort was suddenly heard. "You are quite happy to bully others by fighting with more than one person, right?" Zhu Kei appeared behind the young master of the Li family suddenly with a magnificent kill intent. "Second uncle." The young master, who was totally scared, shouted for help immediately. Li Tangshan dashed over and stopped Zhu Kei as he said seriously, "Zhu Kei, you should care about your safety now. Surrender the ancient ominous spells. I will give you a quick death." "Li Tangshan, you are a sinister bastard. How dare you attack me after murdering my little sister's father?" "Okay, you can die first to make amends." Zuke attacked with his fists with a chilly kill intent in his eyes. After saying that, it was just an ordinary King of Tough acting fist, which cost 1,000 acting tough points. However, it was enough to kill a powerhouse at the summit of the Void training stage. Boom! The Void was shaken and distorted suddenly. A giant fist took form and smashed down toward Li Tangshan directly. This is Taoist connotation. Li Tangshan changed his expression and screamed in terror. At this moment, he could sense the magnificent Taoist connotation contained in Zuke's punch at such a close range. He had been living in the world of cultivators for so many years, but he had never sensed such a magnificent and overbearing Taoist connotation. Even the Taoist connotation of the Li family's patriarch was not so horrible. Retreat. Without any hesitation, Li Tangshan jumped up into the sky and tried to escape. However, Zuke's punch was far more powerful than Li Tangshan's imagination. After taking form in the sky, the giant fist covered a large area almost like an enormous mountain. Boom! Like a fly that was hit by an electric fly swatter, Li Tangshan was heavily smashed down to the ground by the giant fist after running for his life for dozens of meters. No, the giant fist smashed down again. This time, Li Tangshan couldn't go anywhere. After a reluctant and terrified cry, he was turned into a cloud of blood mist immediately. All of a sudden, the entire area fell silent. The young master and the woman beside him were totally dumbfounded. Their eyes were full of disbelief. Their second uncle Li Tangshan, who was one of the most powerful cultivators of the Li family, was killed by a young man with one punch. No. This is impossible. How could this be? The young master of the Li family shook his head and couldn't accept the facts. The woman beside him turned pale and uttered her first sentence. The form synthesis stage. Zuke is at the form synthesis stage. Okay, now 2 against 2. This will be much fairer. As he said this, Zuke stepped toward them slowly, standing beside Liu Jingning at last, as he stared at the young master of the Li family coldly. The young master of the Li family came to himself. He shivered and stepped back hurriedly, saying in a trembling voice, Don't do anything reckless. I am the young master of the Li family. You can't kill me, dumbass. You will die certainly. Could you say something else? Zuke shook his head impatiently as he attacked with his palm. Swish! Suddenly, a sharp air-rending sound exploded in the air. A silver light dashed toward Zuke at an extremely fast speed. The woman beside the young master of the Li family attacked. Watch out! Liu Jingning shouted loudly, her expression concentrated. Zuke waved his hand calmly and pointed his fingers in the air abruptly. Boom! The void in front of him was covered by a powerful Taoist connotation instantly. The silver light, which was stopped and trapped in the Taoist connotation, was floating directly in front of Zuke. What? The woman shouted with shock. Apparently, she didn't expect Zuke to be able to stop that silver light. What? It is a silver worm! Zuke exclaimed, as he discovered the silver light in front of him was actually a silver worm. This is the silver worm of Thread Shadow, which is so rare that one of this kind of silver worm can only be found in 1 million worm of Thread Shadows. This worm also caused my father's death. Liu Jingning yelled angrily. The silver worm of Thread Shadow? It could evolve into a divine worm by absorbing blood and true core strength, right? Young Master Li, please enjoy this worm. Zuke appeared in front of the young master of the Li family with the worm in his hand. Before the young master had time to react, Zuke waved his hand and threw the worm into the young master's mouth. What? Oh. No. The young master of the Li family screamed madly. Apparently, he was greatly terrified by this worm. Come on, it is just a worm. Why are you so nervous? Zuke said disdainfully. No, Zuke, Senior Zu, please don't kill me. I was wrong. I was really wrong. Please be magnanimous and forgive me. The young master of the Li family begged for mercy, since he was completely terrified. After being nourished for many years, this silver worm of Thread Shadow had already grown into an adult worm. Once it entered the body of a cultivator, it would absorb true core strength frantically. When all the true core strength was drained, it would start to gnaw the flesh and bones till nothing was left. The young master of the Lee family knew this very well, and, therefore, he started to beg for mercy, hoping that Zhu Ke would let him return to the Lee family, where someone could take the worm out of his body. Okay, since you admit that you were wrong, I forgive you. Okay, open your mouth. I'll put something in to help you. Zhu Ke took out a long and slippery thing and inserted it into the mouth of the Lee family's young master gruffly. It was a live rice field eel. Oh, no, no. The young master of the Lee family, who was confined by Zhu Ke's power, could do nothing but make some helpless noises. Zhu Ke started to smile like an angel. Don't be afraid. This is the 7-color eel of the Exploding Heavens faction. I put it into your mouth so that it could catch that worm. Oh, no, it seems it is not working. Don't panic. Let me put an eagle into your mouth, so that it can catch that eel. Chapter 703. You are Zhu Ke? The son of the Lee family could not move at all and almost spit blood when he heard what Zhu Ke had just said. On one hand, an eel was swimming through his body, which was causing him great pain. On the other, he was pissed off by Zhu Ke. You want to put an eagle into my body? Screw you. How could you possibly put an eagle into my mouth? What happened next really shocked the young man's sister who was standing beside him. Zhu Ke took an eagle that was half a meter long, and was about to put it inside her brother's mouth. Open your mouth. No. The son of the Lee family could no longer bear it. He was suffering a great deal, both mentally and physically. Suddenly, Liu Jingning cut off his head without any hesitation. His sister was completely stunned and could not move at all. Her entire body was shivering. Although Liu Jingning was called the devil, compared with Zhu Ke, she was so much milder. The real devil is Zhu Ke. Why on earth did we in the Lee family offend him in the first place? The young woman was in huge grief and sorrow and misery. He is indeed a tough figure. Clearly, he has got the strength to kill anyone he wants, but he prefers to torture someone both mentally and physically. What's worse, he does all this while smiling. He is as horrible a person as Duanjude, or even more horrible than he. By the way, if I am not wrong, I believe you just sneak attacked me, right? Zhu Ke smiled at the young woman of the Lee family. She was terrified and forced out a smile. There is no need for you to kill me. I will finish myself. Then she took out her sword and cut her own throat. She even destroyed all her veins, in case Zhu Ke brought her back to life to torture her. Zhu Ke was not surprised by her sudden suicide, as if he had already realized this would happen. Then he sighed. I meant to say I think you are quite a beauty. I wouldn't mind making you my maid. What a pity, you have killed yourself. What? The young woman of the Lee family spit out blood. Why didn't you say it out loud in the first place? Bang! The young woman fell onto the ground face down and died. You never let anyone die easily, right? Liu Jingning rolled her eyes. Hearing this, Zhu Ke defended himself. She attacked me first. If she hadn't done so, I would probably have let her go. You saw it yourself. She intended to kill me with a silver worm of thread shadow. If I hadn't gotten my own Taoist connotation, I would have been killed. What a cruel woman she was. Zhu Ke shook his head and did not regard his behavior as cruel. Moreover, he had killed more people than he could remember. Hearing what Zhu Ke said, Liu Jingning thought it was reasonable enough and nodded. If I were sneak attacked by someone, I would not let that someone go. After all, the cultivation world is really a tough one. Once you step in here, you can never get out safely. A cruel man will not live until the end, but a merciful one definitely will not live a week. Besides, if it were not for Li Tangshan, my father would still be alive. If Zhu Ke had not killed them, I would have had to kill them myself. Jingning, you should keep the silver worm of thread shadow yourself. I think it can be very helpful. Zhu Ke took out the silver worm of thread shadow from the dead body of the son of the Li family and put it inside a jade box. Then he handed the box to Liu Jingning. Liu Jingning shook her head. I can't possibly take it. It is too precious a thing. If we continue to feed it, I am sure it will soon grow into a holy worm. No, no, no. If I take it myself, Buttface might eat it. I think it's better if you take it. For example, you can throw it at anyone who dares to ask you to marry him. Zuke joked. Although the worm of Thread Shadow was quite precious, Zuke didn't think of it as something valuable. Besides, he did not have the time or energy to feed a worm at this moment. However, if someone asked him to feed some holy beasts, like a young dragon or a phoenix, he might have a go at it. So you mean you would come to the Utopia faction to say you want to marry me in front of everyone? Liu Jingning smiled at Zuke. I have already done that, you silly. See? The silver worm of Thread Shadow is one of the betrothal presents for you. Zuke laughed. You are really a playboy. I will tell this to Hongyan when I see her. I hope she gives you a good reprimand, Liu Jingning said, taking the jade box. Then the two quickly headed to the nearest teleportation device. During the next 5 days, the two transferred from one teleportation device to another and headed to the north. At last, 2 months later, they arrived at the teleportation device in the North Sea. For a cultivator, 2 months was not a big deal. In the last 2 months, the news of Zuke's killing of a patriarch of the form synthesis stage had already spread across the West Desert, the East Continent, and the North Sea. Some cultivators were surprised by it, some cultivators did not believe it, and some thought it rather ridiculous. 3 years ago, everyone knew that Zuke could not even kill a cultivator of the Void training stage, since he had not got his own Taoist connotation. Now he is able to kill a patriarch of the form synthesis stage, and it only took him 3 years. Anyway, this is just a rumor. We should not buy it. If even this sort of ridiculous rumor can spread, what's wrong with the people here in the cultivation world? Obviously, this is all Zuke and his Exploding Heavens faction's doing. The reason is to get us all scared of him. Simple as that. Some cultivators were even mocking Zuke. Soon, the news that Zuke and Liu Jingning were going to get married also spread out. My goodness, it is said that Zuke has given some betrothal presents to the Utopia faction and is going to marry Liu Jingning. Has the entire Utopia faction gone mad? Zuke has got countless enemies in this world, and the Utopia faction chooses to make connections with him at this critical moment? Wait for a moment. Can this rumor really be true? The Utopia faction would never accept Zuke's request of marrying Liu Jingning. This is really peculiar. You know what? Someone said that they saw Zuke and Liu Jingning heading together to the North Sea. Even cultivators from influential factions do not dare to attack them and choose other routes to dodge them. My god, this is really crazy. While the cultivators were discussing all these issues, Zuke and Liu Jingning arrived at the North Sea at last. The two walked out of the teleportation device and found a freezing world in front of them. The reason why the North Sea was called a North Sea, obviously, was that it was indeed a sea, part of the Infinite Sea. Due to the changing rules of this world, it snowed here all year round, and the entire sea was frozen. It covered a huge area, as huge as the other 3 continents added together. There were numerous powerful factions living here, and the most powerful one was the Aboriginal tribe that lived here, the Rock Tribe. The Rock Tribe was one of the few tribes that had still managed to keep their bloodlines pure, and they enjoyed the same reputation as the 9-tailed demon fox tribe in the South Continent. The Rock Tribe were the tyrants of the North Sea, and there were many extremely powerful cultivators in the tribe. In particular, it possessed the most cultivators of the form synthesis stage. Even the Zhang family and the Gong family in the East Continent did not dare offend the Rock Tribe. In fact, the place where Zuke and Liu Jingning descended now was under the control of the Rock Tribe. As soon as the two walked out of the teleportation device, 4 rays of light flashed toward them. As they got closer, Zuke saw that there were 3 men and a woman with wings on their backs. Every time they moved their wings, they could move at least a few hundred miles. Obviously, the 4 cultivators were from the demonic beast clan. You two, who are you and where do you come from? After all, the teleportation device here was a big one, and only cultivators from the other 3 continents could use it. Recently, many patriarchs had come to the North Sea via teleportation devices dotted in the North Sea. Due to this, many cultivators of other continents came here, and this had turned this region a bit unsteady, so all the teleportation devices were currently being monitored. Zuke only wanted to find out where Dong Junji was and did not want to get into any trouble, so he answered politely, "My name is Zuke, I simply pass here, I mean no harm at all." Zuke, hearing this, the four cultivators got extremely furious and shouted, "You are the one who insulted our rock tribe. I never thought you would have the balls to come here. We want to kill you." All of a sudden, the four cultivators dashed toward Zuke. "What's going on? I don't think we have even met before." Zuke was shocked. Liu Jingning was also stunned and looked at Zuke with surprise, wondering what Zuke had done to upset the rock tribe. "Don't play the fool with me," the woman shouted and was about to hit Zuke. Zuke moved to the right a little bit and easily dodged her. Then he frowned. "This is the first time I have ever come to the North Sea. I don't think I have ever done anything to offend the rock tribe. If you don't stop now, I will make you suffer." "How dare you deny it? Look at what this is." The woman sneered and threw a piece of paper at Zuke. Zuke frowned and caught the paper. "There is a fish in the North Sea, and it is called the rock. It is so huge that it cannot fit in a pot of average size. It can change into a bird, which can be also called a rock, which is so enormous that it needs 2 barbecue grills to grill properly. I would cut it into 2 halves and sprinkle plenty of sugar on one and a bit of pepper on the other. After enjoying this delicious rock, I would take off for adventure." By Zuke, "Screw you, Wanjude." Zuke cursed after reading it. Chapter 704, Talented Zuke. Zuke was quite speechless. He had only mentioned this rock poem in front of Wanjude once when he was in the Five Elements Mountain. Now the poem, which was marked with the author, Zuke of the Exploding Heavens faction, was found in the North Sea. There was no one in this world, except for Wanjude, who could do immoral things like this. "Zuke, what more is there to say about this?" the young rock cultivators asked, as they stared at Zuke coldly. Liu Jingning was quite embarrassed after reading this poem. She knew the author could only be Zuke, according to the style of the poem. "I swear with all my moral principles that this poem wasn't composed by me. This is definitely a slander." Zuke raised his hand and said seriously, "HMPH, who else could have done it? This poem, if it was written by Wanjude personally, has been widely spread throughout the North Sea area. It has caused great humiliation to our tribe. The author of this poem, no matter if it's you or Wanjude, will be severely punished by us." The female rock cultivators snorted coldly. Zuke raised his eyebrows and said, "You are so unreasonable. How dare you send a punitive expedition against me before sorting out the situation? Do you believe I can eliminate your stinking rock tribe with my 3 punches of a farmer? Hey, 3 punches of a farmer? Do you really think we believe you killed a patriarch at the form synthesis stage with 3 punches? Even if what you said is true, our rock tribe has dozens of powerhouses at the form synthesis stage. You can't scare us away." A male rock cultivator sneered at Zuke. "Shut up." Suddenly, a stern shout was heard from a distance. Then, an enormous figure raced over rapidly. It was a mountainous rock. Its swings were so big that they could even cover the sky. With magnificent momentum, it landed in front of those rock cultivators and became a sexy but serious beautiful lady. "Eighth Elder, what brings you here?" The young rock cultivators changed their expressions and stood in awe. "HMPH, I was afraid all of you would have lost your lives if I didn't come here." Fellow cultivators whose strength has exceeded the form synthesis stage. "How dare you question him?" the beautiful rock lady scolded severely. "What?" The young rock cultivators' eyes widened in terror. They didn't expect this severe 8th elder of the rock tribe would say that Zuke was more powerful than the cultivators at the form synthesis stage. She even addressed him as fellow cultivator Zu. This meant Zuke was much more senior than those young rock cultivators. Could the absurd hearsay that Zuke killed a patriarch at the form synthesis stage with 3 punches be true? At the thought of this, the young rock cultivators broke out in a cold sweat from fear. If it was true, it meant they were wandering at the threshold of death just now. "My fellow cultivator rock," Zuke replied with a smile as he folded his hands. "After all, No one could refuse 12 smiles. Although the rock lady didn't smile, she managed to stop the fight. Moreover, that rock poem was composed by Zhu-Ke indeed. Fellow cultivator rock. Hearing Zhu-Ke's reply, the beautiful rock lady twitched her lips and said calmly, I rank the 8th in the rock tribe, and my name is Yi Beimai. Oh, fellow cultivator Mai. No, fellow cultivator Yi, it is nice to meet you. Zhu-Ke nodded his head earnestly without any embarrassment. He was quite curious about her name, which was a little bit weird for a lady. Yi Beimai just ignored Zhu-Ke's comments. She looked at the white paper in Zhu-Ke's hands and asked calmly, fellow cultivator Zhu, you said this poem was not composed by you. Do you know who composed this poem? Wanjude. It must absolutely have been Wanjude. Zhu-Ke replied without any hesitation. Wanjude? I'm afraid he is not so talented. Yi Beimai said coldly. She even said the talented with emphasis, as if she was sneering at Wanjude. It's him. Frankly speaking, I have always admired the rock tribe. Therefore, I once composed a poem to pay you compliments. This poem was only read by Wanjude. I didn't expect Wanjude would be so shameless as to modify this poem into such a shabby style. After saying that, Zhu-Ke clenched his fists with deep hatred and resentment. He even punched his chest with his fist. Then, he said, clenching his teeth, I don't care that he framed me. The point is that he modified my poem without my consent. This is a humiliation for the rock tribe and for me. We shall never overlook his mistake. Oh, you composed a poem to commend the rock tribe? Yi Beimai looked at Zhu-Ke with interest. Apparently, she didn't believe Zhu-Ke's nonsense. Of course. Zhu-Ke replied earnestly. A thoughtful smile appeared on Yi Beimai's stern face. She said sarcastically, fellow cultivator Zhu, would you please recite your poem to prove your innocence? The rest of the 4 young rock cultivators also smiled coldly. For them, their 8th elder respected Zhu-Ke's strength, but wasn't terrified by him. Now she was about to reason with Zhu-Ke to find out the real author of that poem. Fine. Zhu-Ke agreed by waving his hand without any hesitation. Then, he looked up at a 45-degree angle and started to recite the poem with deep feeling. There is a kind of fish in the northern underworld of which the name is rockfish. The rockfish is so big that its length is over thousands of kilometers. What? All of a sudden, Yi Beimai and the rest of the young rock cultivators were shocked. The first line of the poem recited by Zhu-Ke was almost identical with the lines on the white paper, but the second sentence was different. The rockfish is so big that its length is over thousands of kilometers. This line was quite extraordinary and vividly described the majestic appearance of the rocks. At the same time, Zhu-Ke started to recite the following lines. When it evolves into a bird, its name is changed into the rock bird. The back of a rock bird is so vast that its length is over thousands of kilometers. When the rock bird flies majestically, its wings are like clouds which cover the sky. Gasp! At once and all together, the young rock cultivators gasped, their eyes widening with disbelief. Yi Beimai was also stunned on the spot, as she didn't expect Zhu-Ke could recite that poem. Moreover, compared to the poem that humiliated the rock tribe, this one was well written. All the lines of this poem emphasized the overbearing size and momentum of the rock tribe. Liu Jingning also opened her mouth a little because of surprise. This little brat is always careless and casual. I didn't expect he could be so well educated and talented. Liu Jingning murmured in her mind in surprise and couldn't help but look at Zhu-Ke with new eyes. Fellow cultivator Zhu is really talented. It seems we have wronged you. I shouldn't have believed what the bastard Wanjude said. I hereby apologize to you on behalf of the rock tribe and also appreciate your poem. Yi Beimai looked at Zhu-Ke sincerely. The contempt and sarcasm in her beautiful but cold eyes had disappeared. It was not because she was impressed by Zhu-Ke's talent, but Zhu-Ke's poem really sang the praises of the rock tribe. Wait, please don't interrupt me. I still have other poems to recite. Zhu-Ke raised his hand to stop Yi Beimai at this time. After that, he looked up at a 45-degree angle again and put his hands behind his back as if he was a talented poet. Then, he started to recite in a serious fashion. The rock bird flies up together with the cyclone. It can cover 90,000 kilometers skyward with one flap of its wings. If it lands when the wind stops, its momentum could still blow all the water from the ocean. Gasp! The young rock cultivators gasped again. Ye Beimai and Liu Jingning were shocked again. Ding! Congratulations to the host Zhu Ke in acting tough successfully. The reward is 2,100 acting tough points. Zhu Ke took a step forward and continued to recite by waving his sleeves. The rock bird could cover 90,000 kilometers and stir the cyclones by flapping its wings. The blue sky is on its back. The cities of human beings are under its wings. Ding! Congratulations to the host Zhu Ke in acting tough successfully. The reward is 2,300 acting tough points. Zhu Ke took another step forward. The rock bird could create a 3,000 kilometer long wave, which is like 100,000 people walking forward side by side. The rock bird could beat all other big birds in cyclones. The young swallows could only compete with each other in mild rain. Ding! Congratulations to the host Zhu Ke in acting tough successfully. The reward is 2,400 acting tough points. Zhu Ke took another step forward. The young rock cultivators, Ye Beimai and Liu Jingning, were totally dumbfounded by Zhu Ke's diversified poems about the rocks. Chapter 705. I come from the Exploding Heavens faction. I would like to travel thousands of miles, just like the rock. I would never want to be a man who hates to leave his lovely home where his children were living, just like the swallows or the sparrow. We should work hard while we are still young. In this way, we will not be criticized by others due to our laziness when we got old. With the help of the wind, the rock could fly upward 90,000 miles. When the wind dies down a bit, it could still sail above the enormous sea easily. It is so magnificent that even the universe and the Kunlun mountain are shadowed. When it moves its wings, the entire sky would be covered by the dust, the mountains would shake, and the rivers would also flow faster. While Zhu Ke was chanting ancient Chinese poems one after another, everyone present was greatly impressed by his talent. At the same time, his acting tough points were exploding so fast that the system almost went out of control. The last time Zhu Ke had made so many acting tough points was back at the banquet in the Fire Nation when he acted tough by impersonating the great poet Li Bei. He never thought he would be able to make such a huge amount of acting tough points by chanting a few poems. Soon, he had made almost 10,000 acting tough points. All the people in the audience, including Ye Beimai and Liu Jingning, were completely stunned. In the cultivation world, a knowledgeable cultivator could never be popular. The most important thing for a cultivator was whether his Taoist connotation was powerful or not. Still, it was acceptable for a cultivator to make a few poems to entertain himself in the long years of cultivation. Otherwise, no cultivator would waste his time studying literature or such things. What surprised everyone the most was that Zhu Ke was not only powerful in regard to his Taoist connotation, but also in regard to his knowledge. I only asked him to recite for me the original of the poem changed by Wanjude, and he easily chanted so many brilliant poems. Each poem sounds wonderful and classic. Ye Beimai's heart beat rather fast. Although she did not consider a knowledgeable cultivator good, she was sure that if she could ensure that those poems were heard by others, the reputation of the rock tribe would be even better. Even though she herself could not believe some parts of the poems chanted by Zhu Ke, she asked herself if her tribe was really this powerful. He is really good. Liu Jingning was wonderfully amazed and never thought Zhu Ke could be this knowledgeable. Just as the saying goes, a thug with knowledge was really dangerous. Just a few minutes ago, the cultivators of the rock tribe were still pissed at Zhu Ke and wanted to take his life. Now they were all deeply touched by Zhu Ke and felt ashamed of themselves. We are so foolish. Yes, he is right. Only someone like Wanjude could make all those nasty poems. Someone like Zhu Ke would never do such a thing. Ye Beimai looked at Zhu Ke and said with a serious face, I am such a fool to have bought Wanjude's words. My friend, don't worry. I promise you that we will make this up to you. Never mind. After all, I know what kind of person Wanjude is. He shames all of us. It is normal for you to fall into his trap. I won't hold this against you. Zhu Ke waved his hands. Yi Beimai was a bit surprised. She had been told that Zhu Ke was a very indecent man, but now she thought Zhu Ke was a knowledgeable, generous, and merciful man. Yi Beimai said to Zhu Ke with great respect, "I am ashamed of the rudeness of the 4 young cultivators of my tribe." Then she stared at the 4 youngsters, apologized to Zhu Ke. Now, yes, the 4 youngsters stood in front of Zhu Ke and bowed deeply. "We are sorry about what we did just now. Please forgive us." "It's fine. From the first day of my cultivation, I have told myself that I have to be a determined and generous man. My mind is broad enough to contain hundreds of rivers, so I would never be angry with you," Zhu Ke said with a bright smile and made the 5 cultivators of the rock tribe admire him more. Liu Jingning was amazed by what she saw. He is a generous man whose mind is broad enough to contain hundreds of rivers? This is absurd. He is the meanest man I have ever seen. That nasty poem must have been written by him, otherwise he would not as quickly chant a new poem to praise them. "By the way, my dear friend, why do you come here? Can it be possible that you, like the others, is concerned about what is happening in the infinite sea?" Yi Beimai asked gently, her mild tone in contrast with her serious face. The 4 young cultivators were surprised. It was the first time they had seen such a gentle Yi Beimai, but they were still afraid of her, so they did not talk and lowered their heads instead. Zhu Ke smiled and nodded. "Yes, you are right. I have been told that Dong Zhenji is already in the infinite sea with some patriarchs and intends to collaborate with them to open the lock there, so cultivators from the other side could came to invade us. I, as a member of the 4 continents, have the responsibility to protect our families. I come here to make my own contribution. I am afraid that it is already too late." Yi Beimai shook her head. "What?" Both Zhu Ke and Liu Jingning were surprised. "Calm down please. Things are not as bad as you think. My tribe had already worked together with other patriarchs and managed to stop them, but the lock is too fragile and was broken a little bit by them. Some cultivators from the other side came to this side already, and by the time we repaired the lock, they had already disappeared." "Then, where are Dong Zhenji and those patriarchs?" Zhu Ke frowned and asked in a low voice. "They are gone. Now my tribe is discussing, with other patriarchs, trying to make a negotiation with them." Yi Beimai shook her head. "I don't think there is any need to discuss anything with them. It's just a waste of time. Just kill them," Zhu Ke said. "If only we were powerful enough, we would have killed them all." Among those who managed to come to our side, some are in the top level of the form synthesis stage. Besides, there is a cultivator who is almost in the crossing calamity stage," Yi Beimai said, and she was extremely worried. She did not want to admit that her tribe was not powerful enough, but she had to. After all, across the 4 continents, no one was in the top level of the form synthesis stage, not to mention a cultivator who was almost in the crossing calamity stage. A cultivator of the crossing calamity stage was incredibly strong. Once a cultivator stepped into the top level of the crossing calamity stage, he could get into the Mahayana, the great vehicle stage. Then he would become an immortal cultivator after he went through the 99 heavenly tribulations. After the lock was set on the 4 continents, no one could reach that level anymore. Now many cultivators of the form synthesis stage had came to this side, along with a cultivator who was almost in the crossing calamity stage. Even if all the patriarchs collaborated, they could not possibly win. "Do you know where they have gone?" Zhu Ke asked. He remembered that Liu Jingning had told him that these cultivators had come for the ancient bronze hall. "I spent a few months to come here, and they have probably gone to the East Continent." If this is true, Zhang Hongyan is in a much more dangerous situation. Thinking of this, Zhu Ke clenched his fists even tighter. "They must have gone to the East Continent. I should have come here earlier." Yi Beimai then said, "My dear friend, I know that the relationship between you and Zhang Hongyan is a special one, and we know she is trapped in the ancient bronze hall. But please be careful and calm down. You have to realize the fact that those cultivators are really powerful. Why not wait until we have thought of some good ideas and had a discussion with those cultivators?" "Calm down?" Zhu Ke sneered. "I am sorry. I come from the Exploding Heavens faction. When I move, I am as ferocious as a tiger. When I stand still, I am as fearless as a wolf. I am tall and my penis is 18 centimeters. I can have sex every night without feeling tired. In my life, I will never calm down. I only know how to fight and screw. He turned around and left, with everyone standing there surrounded by his loud echoing voice.